flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Eichmann.
Present.
Biesinger.
Present.
Boss. Present. Ekis.
Present.
Fry.
Present.
Gross. Present. Schroller.
Present.
Throm.
Present.
We have a quorum.
All right, thank you. For the regular meeting minutes on May 23rd, I had two small announcements. Did anybody else have anything? I would entertain a motion as approved with the minutes.
Move to approve the regular minutes of 11/23/16 with the amendments made, and approve the special meeting of May 31st, 2016.
As presented.
As presented.
Second.
Is there any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 8-0. Thank you very much. The first item is public comments. Anyone that is not on the agenda that would like to come to the podium and speak for 5 minutes, just give your name, ward, and first name, last name, and your ward. Anyone? All right, Brad, you have a comment?
I have a comment. I do want to offer my condolences to the people to the friends and family of the people that lost their lives in Orlando. And I want to say it kind of offers a grim reminder that we should all not just tolerate others in our community, but we should accept them and respect them for who they are.
All right, thank you. All right, the first item up is Tony Deaver on 12th Street Drainage. Hi, Tony.
Good evening, Council. I think after last meeting we talked about 12th Street a little bit, and you'd asked that I go up and look at that. And I did that, and I kind of put together my thoughts together in a letter. I hope you all had a chance to look at that. Here for any discussion or questions.
On this, you are recommending the surface drainage rather than the underground drainage?
Yeah, I believe so. I think 3 or 4 years ago we looked at that as well, and was concerned at that time about the, once you dropped it underground, could you get it with very much slope to the west? That was one of my main concerns, and not saying it can't work, but without some probably survey work and elevation work.
Has Lynn Mayer mentioned that he has a geothermal system buried in the ground?
I had not talked to him about that specific issue. But.
When Lynn put in the curb and gutter, were you involved with that at all?
No.
Okay. Does it look like the where it's cut out is at the proper place?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, it's
okay.
Yeah. As long as the curb drains to it from both directions.
I was just because he just put that in, and I just want to make sure where he cut it out, it looked appropriate. And you had recommended like, 8 to 10 feet wide?
Yeah.
So would we have to take some of that curb and gutter that was just laid out?
I think we can match that, and then make sure if you put curb on the east side that it's higher to prohibit drainage from east to west. And
is that hole that's cut out 8 to 10 feet wide? Is it that wide?
I didn't measure it, but I would think so.
Okay.
Yep. Whatever it was, you'd try to match.
And do you think this is something that we can do in-house, or is this something we'd have to hire out?
I think it could be done in-house.
Do we have to get a certain slope for that flume thing? Flume, is that what the word you use?
Yeah. Yeah, you'd try to maintain a normal crown on the road is 2%, so you'd probably try to hit that at least. With concrete though, you can get a pretty good, in that short of a distance, you can get a good slope on it.
And you think our guys could do that?
I'm sure.
Have our guys done a slope like that before, Rick? Or a flume like that?
Yeah, I think if just Tony did the staking and set the grades on that east side, you guys would be able to handle it. I've already talked to Gary about it. It's a possibility.
He said he could do it?
No, I think so. You're not going a full block anyway.
Okay.
Well, if we do work on the street, should we go ahead and extend the street to Jayhawk?
Open it all the way out?
Open it all the way up because I know that's kind of a bottleneck, especially like when the Christmas decorations are up and people have to drive into the mayor's.
And turn around.
To turn around.
That's a whole different ballgame.
The street just beyond that goes, I know they alternate kind of because that one doesn't, the one next, which would be what, 13th goes through and then 14th does not. So it's kind of weird that, you said that on 14th Street they were platted. Is it platted to be a cul-de-sac or to go through?
It's platted all the way through.
It's platted. And this street is platted to go all the way through as well. So why do you say it's altogether different ballgame?
Well, because that would be over and above what city crews would be able to handle. Plus, you'd have to have some design work done to know, because you've got a gradient there, and you're going to have to know how to handle all the drainage on that. So
then
it's a whole
we'd
different
add
ballgame.
more drainage to it. Yeah, we would add more water by coming down. Okay, so do you have any idea how much this would cost, just a ballpark?
Yeah, I estimated today it was around probably $13,000.
$13,000?
Just with some general construction bids.
Okay.
And that was like 220 feet of curb. So doing the entire east side, like I said, and putting the flume across and backfilling in some dirt, putting a AV3 base under all of it.
Okay, so you have the picture to go on with it. Well, I guess we have to have the discussion. You guys want to deal with this drainage issue? I mean,
I think we need to, yes.
okay, so I guess when we talk about doing this road, there was an email Rick sent out, I guess in relation to my question about how much it would cost. It looks like if you put a 2.5-inch overlay, it's about $4,000. So you add that to the other one, and we're looking at about $17,000. So then I asked Rick about the streets up there, and he said all the streets on Debbie Lane and Park Place, ending with where Bill Philippi and Bud Schutte live, but all the rest of it going north, it's not the same. But with them and the rest of that development, there were street assessments made, and he estimated it to be $1,000.
Thought it was $1,000 a year for 10 years.
For 10 years. So so everybody in that neighborhood was assessed, had street assessments and they all got curb and gutter. But then starting the houses beyond, Rick said was part of a Neiman addition.
Neiman addition.
And Neiman put the street in and built it into the cost of the lot, as well as putting the...
But all they had was a gravel street. He just did curb and gutter on the house that's north of Bud and the house that's north of Bill for that footage, and then there's nothing else, because at least 2 of those houses have been built in the last 15 years.
Well, I know I drove up there, 3 of them don't have curb and gutter, but obviously they have street. So there were no street assessments on that specific area, although the builder put it in and probably built it into the cost of the lot for the house being built. And then I asked about water and sewer, and there were no water and sewer.
They paid it, as I was advised, Neiman paid for that also.
Okay, but and the other houses that had street assessments did not have water and sewer assessments, just street, right?
And the Neiman addition, the developer put in what little curb and gutter in Rock Street with water and sewer.
Water and sewer, but the rest of Debbie Lane and Park Place did not have water sewer assessments, just the street?
I don't know that.
Okay. So anyway, so then I asked him about Lynn Mayer's house, because I didn't know anything about Lynn Mayer's house, and he said that the city put in, prior to Lynn building, a water and a sewer line all the way up beyond Jayhawk Road, north of Jayhawk Road. So when Lynn built that house, there was already water and sewer there. So I guess the way I look at it is, so how do we address the street cost to this one homeowner? And I keep going back to what had just recently happened with dust control. And with our dust control, remember we had one development that came in and said they wanted it. And what happened? Every other person came in and wanted dust control. So here we have, Lynn is kind of like his own developer. He developed this lot. And so if we would pay for all the curb and gutter and street, then what is to stop any other person that lives on a gravel road to come in and say, well, you just put curb and gutter on his house, why aren't you putting curb and gutter on mine?
But we didn't put the curb and gutter on his. He paid for his own.
And yeah, but we have to put guttering on the east side.
But you can't assess that to him.
Well, we're only putting it on there because he developed it.
No, you're putting it on there to help what you think is going to solve a drainage problem.
So you think we should assess Sandy Schmidt's even
I didn't say, no, don't put words in my mouth. I didn't say that. I'm just saying you can't assess Lynn Mayer for that. He's already paid for his curb and gutter by doing it himself.
Well,
that's something you'd have to ask Sandy if she's willing to pay for that.
Well, the drainage isn't going to work unless we put curb and gutter on the east side.
I don't disagree with that, yeah. But Sandy's already paid an assessment for her street and curb and gutter on the
north side, or on the east side, but not on the west side of her lot, because her lot is a long lot. So
2 lots.
It's 2 lots. So anyway, this is what I'm having trouble with. If we would put his street in, we have lots of gravel streets, perimeter streets in Marysville, Jayhawk, 8th Road, Keystone, 12th Road, that they would come and say, well, you just put his in, why don't you put mine in? So it seems like we have to do something, some type of assessment to be fair, and to be fair with all the people on Debbie Lane and Park Place. The question is what?
Well, when I've looked at other cities, 100% of water, sewer, fire, streets is assessed back to the homeowner.
To the developer?
Or whoever owns the lot, yes.
That's in new, and this is...
Well, no, not necessarily.
Not necessarily. Well, I guess my question is, how did we end up with a street that didn't have proper planning? So by looking at it, it's obvious there would have, I think it'd be obvious there was would have been a drainage problem there from day one. So how did we even...
It didn't exist.
Acquire that street and make that extension, or how did it become our responsibility?
Because the original street ended at the north side of Lister's before Lynn built the house up there. That was where the curb and gutter, that was where everything went. We never platted it. The street plat is there, but there was never any engineering done on it to make the cut through the hill like should have been done before Lynn built up there to get proper drainage, proper grade, so it fell into where it needed to fall. He moved there was a street put in, it was rock, we chip and sealed it, and we put coal mix on it.
So the water could possibly come down that paved road and run into this house that's sitting right here?
Yes.
Yeah.
And you're saying you fear, is that a possibility, Tony? That it's going to go, by even doing this at all, it's going to cause it to go into this house?
Well, I think the water already goes there. I don't know if he has trouble now or not, but...
Does it go across, or does it actually, is there a slope there? Do you know the angle?
Yeah.
To keep it down, to keep it north, is there a ditch to keep it north?
There.
Yeah,
Between
kind of where
those
that red line is.
Yeah,
There is a ditch
Yes.
to keep it in there?
It doesn't look like a ditch. He's got a very nice yard there right now. But the water, when it overtops, it goes through that low area that he cut in the curb and just flows over his yard to the west.
And into the drainage ditch, and then it disappears.
So this little project wouldn't change that drainage at all.
Lynn, you're here. Has water ever gone creeped up to this guy's house in the recent rains we've had or anything?
There's probably about a 4-foot rise from the lower part of the yard up to his foundation.
So the recent torrential rains we've had, it hasn't gotten close to his house?
Now, when the water shampoo lived there, he actually filled that in. That's actually where the water easement is.
Where the ditch is?
It's right where those trees are located, just north of his house.
So it was
there, but they filled that in because the water was at one time getting a little too close to them.
So they built it up more?
Yeah, that water's never going to get to the crow's house.
Okay. Are you okay with, you asked that question, Bill, are you okay with that?
As long
That comment?
as long as that ditch always stays there, yeah.
Well, I think Tony said it's going to hold, right? You think it's going to hold?
It has now. I mean, Lynn, have you noticed any erosion problem through your yard?
So I guess we, Lynn, do you want to say anything about the street? Come to the podium, Lynn. We have two issues. We really have the street and the drainage, but they kind of go together.
Yeah. I brought some of the samples of the asphalt that's there. Part of the problem is the way it was laid. It was laid by the city crew, and through no fault of theirs, it's very uneven. There's places that have 4 inches of asphalt, and there's places on the lower part, and I can just pass this around, that thinnest one is where, that's down in the drainage area, and it's an inch at the most, but your paving machine broke down 8 times while they were doing that 180-foot stretch, and it was, there's a stop and start 7 different times in that street, just from starting at Crow's property up to where our garage is. So I wish that we would have had an inch of asphalt up on the hill where we don't have the water problem, and 4 inches of asphalt down below, but we don't. I mean, it was a challenge with the paving machine at that point in time.
Was when they first laid that, did they ever discuss with you assessments for that road?
No.
So, Rick,
Who authorized this to be laid anyway before? Well, I was on the council, and the next thing I knew, it was laid.
As far as I know, you guys were aware of that.
No, it wasn't. I was on the council, and the next thing I knew, it was laid up there, because I never knew anything about it till I drove up there after the meeting.
that's a true statement, because I was on council at the time too.
I know.
I don't remember discussing
We never discussed it at all. The next thing I know, somebody told me, how come he got his asphalted there and some other people don't? Because it was gravel before and there was no problem with the gravel, I didn't see.
Well,
So was there a problem with the gravel?
Yeah, I mean, that area has always been soft because that water, after the road was built, there was a little dam, I would say, made by the road, and as that water came off of Wassenberg's and Sandy Schmitz's, even it comes down off of Lister's also, it actually runs north there, and then off of 13th Street. It just sat
down
there.
on 13th Street?
Yeah, there's a cutout on 13th Street.
Is that between whose houses, Sandy Schmidt's and Wassenberg's?
Yes. It's, anyway, that water came down, and I mean, it was extremely soft. I mean, you'd cut ruts in the wintertime. The wintertime is the main problem because in the summertime it seeps away. In the wintertime, you get the snow melt, and during the afternoon it melts down, sits behind the road, and then it kind of goes underneath the road.
And that's what
and that's where we've got the problem.
Well, like asphalt, if we just put, Tony, if we just put this asphalt down on top, it's gonna stay? Or do we have to put a rock base in? Or is your estimate with a rock base in there? Or just asphalt? Or no, that was your estimate. I'm sorry.
That was just for
Because
city.
your estimate was just based on the curb and gutter and drainage, right?
Correct.
Had nothing to do with the street.
Correct.
I'm sorry. So
That was just cost of the asphalt. that
just
City
the
Crew put it
asphalt.
on. That's
So
not.
it has no rock
But
base.
Tony's estimate was using an actual contracted job bid. Some plan of some type with the contractor bid.
How many loads of rock did you put on there, Lynn?
I didn't put any, the city came and dug out the asphalt and put that big rock in there.
But it went down.
Yeah, it's pretty solid right now. I put the curb and gutter on my side because I did get quite a bit of water, even on my side of the street, on the west side of the street. And it was cutting a pretty good ditch there. And I didn't really want a 3-foot ditch between the road and my yard. And so
did you build it up a little bit to keep it in your yard?
what's that?
Did you build your curb up a little bit to keep it go down, or do you?
The curb was built according to the street.
Okay.
Its curb is 2 inches above the street level right now to accommodate for.
And it's above your yard, the lower part, right? It looks like it's above grade.
It is, yeah. So.
I think it goes back to the point you've made that we approve these kinds of, or somehow these projects get approved, but there's no checks and balance in terms of design or to say that it was even
Well,
incorrectly. And I'm not saying we shouldn't do this or not. But
So the real problem is that it was laid without really council discussing it. Todd, you don't remember discussing it, do you?
Yeah.
So it was laid without council discussing it. Then it was kind of ripped up with council because I went over, my aunt lives right across the street, and they were digging out and I asked them, what are you guys doing now? And they said, we're digging out the bad spots. And I was like, well, what are you going to do next? I mean, it was kind of like, so I said, we haven't even discussed this at City Council. It's like, we have not discussed this.
it doesn't even sound like the gravel road, though. The original road was even correct. In the first, otherwise there was a problem with the gravel road because it was too low to begin with. So.
Yeah, or the drainage should have been addressed then as well. So,
Correct me, Tony, if anybody ever builds north of Lynn, that water's still gonna come to the south, correct? Because we're not to the crest of the hill yet.
Unless you put in inlets somewhere. You could put inlets to catch it halfway up the hill.
Then we're gonna be
If you want to avoid that.
I guess, but then we're gonna be tearing up somebody's yard again to.
have you
To go
talked
through
to
it.
Sandy at all about if she wants curb and gutter?
I'm sure she doesn't want to pay for curb and gutter. I'm pretty certain of that. I haven't talked to her about it, though.
And would the curb and gutter just be her land, or would it be the land north as well? Would it be Dan Wassenberg's as well?
Some of that's Wassenberg's property also. Property line is right there, yeah. What I've talked to Sandy about is that little fill area where the snow melt comes down and sits. This spring, I talked to her, and I have a tractor and a loader, and so I went and got some dirt and filled in there. And about a week after that, we had 4 inches of rain. So that dirt's mostly gone now. Now I have refilled part of that, and my goal was, whether you do anything with the street or not, I've got to do away with having that water pond there.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, that's what's causing me problems. So I have started filling that up, and then this fall I want to seed grass to it, so if that water comes down and just gently goes across the street, if there's not a
curb and gutter.
Yeah, and if there is a curb and gutter, there's going to be a cutout in the curb there to allow that water to come on across, because otherwise it's going to sit behind the curb.
Is that red line?
Which is the flume, right? That she's talking about.
Up in Sandy's property, Bill.
Yeah, it's that
No, there's
circle.
another red line on the other side.
What's that?
The line on your side of the street, is that where the cutout's at?
Well, yeah.
Right here, Lynn?
The cutout is right
Right there?
Yeah, it's
Ponding areas over here.
Yeah, it's straight across the street is ponding area.
Okay.
No swim.
So Sandy's already paid for curb and gutter on the front of her house. I mean, we could maybe come to kind of some kind of compromise, maybe assess part of it and pick up some of it because we did it out of order again. I mean, what do you guys think? And maybe Lynn would be willing to pay for the street if we put the curb and gutter in on the east side. I mean, I'm just throwing things out here, Lynn. I don't know what you would consider doing, but I'm just saying, if we put in a nice asphalt road for you, how can we not do it for every single person that lives on a gravel road? That's my concern. That's what happened with us with dust control. One group came in, and when the next group, we had to say yes. So if we say we're going to pick up your cost of your road, then what's to stop everybody that lives on 8th Road, Jayhawk Road, Keystone Road, 11th Road South, 7th Road South, to come in and say, you did Lynn Mayer's, why aren't you going to do mine? You know what I'm saying? So I'm just trying to make it fair. So if you would pay for your street, at least we can say, are you willing to pay for your street? And then since the drainage issue was never discussed before your street, maybe we can pay for the drainage that Tony's presenting and you'll be fixed. But I'm just throwing it out. You don't have to make a decision right now. I'm just letting you think about it. Or does somebody else have a better idea? I'm not
sure that have to be once you, because I'm sorry, wasn't at the drainage part you were talking about concrete, right? The whole width of the street. So is there really that much, once you put that 10-foot concrete piece in there, is there really that much? Because maybe I'm wrong, but it looked like the asphalt, maybe not right at that junction, but it's not bad all the way up to the top, is it, or is it?
No, it's not good. It's actually pretty good from the mailbox right there.
Okay.
But there is a...
Lynn, can you tip that picture this way and see?
Our mailbox is right there.
Okay, all right.
And from there south is where, that's where you got the real thin.
That's where the
1-inch asphalt is. Up above there, there's places it's 4 inches, and there's places...
Okay. Well, I know right down here at the transition off of the existing old 12th Street onto yours, it was real thin.
About a half inch.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's real thin.
Yeah, that kind of thin.
Yeah.
And like you said, that holds water too right in that area.
Or do you want to think about it and come back with a proposal for us? I mean, or you guys, council, have something, a suggestion?
Well, we're making decisions here for Sandy, and she's not here. She's got 2 lots here, and if Wassenberg's affected, I mean, I had some of my constituents come because of the Breeding Heights, because some people wanted curb and gutter out there, and several of the others came to me and said, don't let them touch that. That's the charm of this development. So here we have somebody wanting it, so we were, well, maybe we should do something because they want it, and then come to find out the rest of them don't want it.
Well, that's a good point. Maybe we should find out. Can we put that flume in with the curb and gutter on the east side? I hate to be stupid here. Can we?
I think we can, but it's going to be hard to keep that low area from reforming, I think, to get the water to that.
So you're saying, Vicki, it's not a function of who's going to pay for it, but if she even wants it there?
If she wants it at all. We need to correct a drainage problem. It wasn't addressed before because there wasn't a house out here. This was all just unused land. So nobody was concerned because this street didn't come up this far. Nobody drove on it, nobody lived on it, nobody had put a nice yard in there. So it wasn't addressed at all.
You do have a nice yard.
But you've got 2 other homeowners that are not represented here.
Yeah, that's a good point.
This is the backside of their properties, and if they're going to be developed, if we put a curb in there, then somebody's going to want to have access to their property, so we'll have to go in and cut out all we did to give them driveways, and figure out how we're going to get the drainage past their driveways. So we're going to be addressing this issue in the future as it develops. But for now, Yes.
Lynn owns that. Nobody's gonna get those houses. Lynn owns those.
You own that all the way to Jayhawk, Lynn?
Yep.
Oh, I didn't know.
Wait, Tony, you didn't talk to
You own
Sandy
this across the street?
about
This is
whether
yours?
she was okay with
No.
the curb and gutter?
No, his
From Lynn's
And
house.
Dan Wassenberg?
Here on North.
Oh,
Well, I think what
Jayhawk.
we need to do right now, I think that Vicki made a really good point, is that we need to contact Sandy and Dan Wassenberg and make sure that they're okay if we put in curb and gutter there.
Right.
And then we have to come up with a solution on how to fund it.
Right.
So I think the first things first is we need to make sure they're willing to put it there before we worry about funding it, don't you?
And then if they're willing to pay, I mean, if they're going to have participation in it, they certainly should be in on the planning of it.
Okay, so, all right. So, do a couple of, so who's on the street committee? Do you guys want to, you want to go meet with Sandy and Dan Wassenberg and at least kind of find out if they even want curb and gutter, and if so, how yay they want it, or okay, we'll put up with it kind of thing and go from there? All right? And also, you guys think about, you feel free to bring something to the council that's different. And Lynn, if you want to bring a proposal next meeting, bring it to us. I mean, we're open to discussion.
How much is curb and gutter a foot?
Well, I estimated 40, which should be pretty high.
$40?
Yeah.
So if we put it in, what would it be, Rick?
Well, I don't think we're going to do it much cheaper every time you factor in your labor.
Okay.
If they can do a lot, you can get down to 28.
Well, if we're gonna meet with them, I want to tell them about what it's gonna cost them.
Can they have a copy of your breakdown?
$40 a linear foot.
Yeah. Should be plenty high.
I would think we could do an assessment that wouldn't have to be all at once.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
a possibility, sure.
Do a 10-year.
Okay, well, you guys want to come back to the next meeting and feel free to meet with Lynn too and see how, get a feel for him, okay? Just trying to figure out how to do this, Lynn, so. And Tony, we appreciate your time.
Okay. I put it back.
You might get some super glue. Okay, and you're still up, Tony.
Yep. All right, next, so Rick and Kent had called me a week or two ago about the infiltration problems out there between Country Club Lake, and sounds like they had a pretty big day of inflow a couple weeks ago during a big rain, so.
Does everybody know about that on council here? You guys know? Go ahead and explain. You want to explain it real quick?
Yeah, I think they had normally run about 0.4 million gallons a day, and they were up to 1.5, I believe. Is that correct, Rick?
Yeah, it was over 1 million.
Yeah, during a big rain event, so it was coming in
Coming through our sewers.
pretty fast, pretty quickly.
That we had to process.
What was it normally and what did it rise to?
0.4, I think, is the average. 0.4 million gallons a day is the average. And it went up to, I thought 1.5, but
Yeah, because I think Kent's statement was that it ran 1 million more than it does on an average basis, so they put about 1.4.
So, and then Ken found this because when he saw the huge numbers, he figured out in the system where it was coming from. Is that true?
They did a process of elimination to try and track it.
Where it was coming in? And then they found it through these manholes from Country Club Lake down to Industrial Park, correct?
yeah, I think you found some underwater.
And one lid was popped up.
Okay, so continue on.
So,
We have to explain the whole situation.
I think Kent wanted just some options and to discuss how you would address that and look into raising, whether some can be raised or it's water seeping through the joints probably when it's really damp like this. So how do you fix that? And
Wasn't that all plastic pipe we installed out there though?
yeah, this is through the manhole section.
Oh, through the manhole section.
Which should be sealed, but
So they got sealed tar.
They've been there for 18 years without any oversight, I guess. 18 years, nothing's been done to them.
Well, isn't this the area that was going to put the industrial park back in the floodplain? Isn't that what we've been fighting with Schwab Eaton in order to get
Yeah,
that?
that's part of it, what was
And
shown in there.
I went down there all the while during the rain, and I never saw the industrial park take on water or any of those buildings be threatened at all by the increase. I was thinking maybe we better should tell them that, I mean, that could be go in our favor, because this is the most rain we've had in a small period of time in what? How many years? 20 years, 30 years?
Yeah, but it's a 100-year floodplain.
Yeah, but
I understand
this kind
your
of
point.
addresses that. This is the area that they were talking about.
Yeah,
So
And
if,
further north, though.
and further north, correct.
well, yeah, they went all the way back to Country Club Lake, all the way north to North Street,
North
north of
past
the,
North,
yeah,
yeah.
the pond on the west side of the Catholic Cemetery.
And I've reached out to them. They should have modeled, and their study would have modeled that 100-year flow
Okay.
from North Street all the way down to determine its effect of the, probably Spring Creek's 100-year floodplain. So I've reached out to them to try to get, hopefully be able to get that data.
So here in your letter, you say you recommend rehabilitating the manholes, right?
Generally, yeah. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of flow through that large line that trying to replace manholes would be.
And so then you
expensive.
gave us this bid that's on page 12 and 13.
You mentioned possible backup. How many properties would that, and what properties would that affect?
Well, I think, I mean, if you're looking at the overflow down at the main pump station, and, you know, if you couple that with a pump failure or some type of problem with that much water coming in, I think, without knowing all the elevations, but, I mean, that's a potentially scary situation of sewage coming into that pump station with nowhere to go.
A good portion of the town could be affected.
Definitely the west of the old tracks. And
Yeah, I don't think we want to take that risk.
there's a lot of backups in place, but
So you have an you gave us your estimate for the engineering costs. Do you have any idea how much it would cost to do this? Just a ballpark to do those 15 manholes?
I got some costs to seal the joints. They do a chemical grouting process where they inject some type of grout that's activated by water, and it seals just the joints.
Oh, kind of like the CIPP, except it's doing joints in the manhole?
Yeah, but it's just the joints versus they could come in and coat the entire manhole itself. So I got those prices. The guy kind of with the Mayor Specialty Service was, you know, he says it kind of varies a little bit, but he gave me a really high number of like $1,000 a joint. You know, so some manholes are going to have 2 joints. I don't know if any of those would be particularly deep, but so you know, maybe looking at a couple of $1,000s a manhole to do that, to just seal the joints. To do the rehab where they put grout over the entire, if you had a structural problem in the manhole like the brick ones, I think the city's done that in the past. They come in and apply some type of coating to the entire inside of the manhole. And
Those were all concrete ones that were placed out there, though.
yeah, so that we shouldn't have a structural problem where we'd probably look at this joint sealing versus the entire coating, but that was like $150 a foot, vertical foot to do that.
Have we done that with manholes before?
Not doing
what
the
he's talking-
joints.
Out the
But
joints.
manhole rehab, yeah.
Manhole rehab we do.
Put that concrete lining on them.
That's that vertical PVC.
That's what we're gonna be
But
doing this summer.
those were prefab
Yeah, those are all
prefab
precast.
sections that
2 and
went
3
in
piece
out there
sections.
on that area.
So probably just the joints or
Joints have gone bad.
But then also you said we have to make some higher elevation.
potentially. Generally, KDHE, if you're under the 100-year floodplain, they'll make you either raise it above or put in watertight manhole lids.
So
So that could be an option too. That's where they go in and replace just the ring and cover with a watertight option.
So are you thinking this project should cost us somewhere between 50 to 100,000? I mean, just
Probably the higher side of that. Yeah.
around
Yeah, and
100,000?
again, it depends what, you know, with 15 that may be a problem, you know, we might find out that 7 of them are a problem, the other 8 are just fine.
Okay.
Or you just replace a lid for $500 or something like that. It's kind of hard at this point to say for sure.
So when you, on your engineering services, are you going in and deciding what needs to be done?
Yeah, I'll propose something. You have to review with Kent and Rick, or the
And is it
administrator.
$2,400 what you usually charges for bidding services? Is that normal?
It's a little, probably a few $100s higher than normal. I think 11th Road, we were around 2,200 maybe.
Okay.
And then that got removed, but
Okay. So, how do you guys feel?
You're not gonna know what the cost is until you do the engineering.
Yeah, we kind of have to do it because we can't let all those pumps be overwhelmed again.
No.
And the risk of having sewer problems throughout a large section of town is horrible. So, do you guys want to go ahead and proceed with this project and at least do the engineering and try to find out how much it's going to cost us?
Would it come out of the sewer replacement fund, or where would it come out of?
Well, that, or, we could, I've been trying to save the sales tax fund for streets and trying to have the sewer funds fund their own improvements and their reserves, but I hate to take anything else out of the reserves, so I'm almost swinging on this one to do a sales tax fund because it's an unplanned expenditure.
Could this, if we've got a 5-year plan for the manhole rehabilitation throughout the town, would it be an option to shift that back a year and insert this in
Well, we
place of
already
that?
bid out our manhole.
Well, but I mean for the next year. I mean,
Well, we don't do the manhole every year though. We only do the
I'm sorry.
manhole, we haven't done it for 5 or 6 years.
got it. Okay. I
So,
misunderstand.
the CIPP we do every year.
Well, yeah, that's
Okay.
different though, yeah.
So, what do you guys think about going ahead and start the engineering services? He can come back with what needs to be done, and we can roll it into 2017 budget if he gets back with us soon enough. Or 2016, we can look at it then. I don't think we can avoid doing not.
We have to do something.
So are you guys okay with his proposal?
Or would the engineering services fee come out of?
Well, I think we go ahead and take sales tax at this point. We've had strong sales tax this year. Keith, you're looking at me weird. You want to take it out of the sewer reserve fund?
Sewer replacement fund, yes.
I agree with that.
The reserve fund?
Yeah.
Okay.
I know.
I'm shocked, but okay. Does someone want to make a motion?
I move we go ahead with redoing the manhole project and take the funds out of the sewer replacement fund.
Second. Reserve.
And authorize the mayor to sign the contract?
Are you doing it just for the engineering now?
Yeah, we're just doing engineering right now.
Okay.
and if you don't approve the project, there will be no bidding. You
Yeah.
can't proceed with bidding without your approval of the engineering project.
So signing the contract too? You're
What's
okay with
that?
that? Signing the contract too?
Yes.
Okay, well, who seconded that?
I did.
Is there any further discussion? It's coming out of the sewer replacement fund. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? 8-0. Thank you very much. Thank you, Tony. All right. Wayne Cruzy, are you here?
I'm here. Good evening, I'm Wayne Cruzy. This is Michelle Weitzel. We're with Marysville's Convention and Tourism Committee. In the audience is our committee's Vice Chair, Barb Kickhafer. A couple of years ago, we entered into an agreement with 502 Media to help us publicize Marysville. And we did that by creating these monthly videos called the Marysville Minute. And after the first videos were released, we found that every month about 10,000 people were watching our video. And the people at 502 said, this is unheard of. When we release videos in Manhattan, we're lucky if 1,000 people watch them. What's so special about Marysville? Where are we getting so many organic hits? And because this was so phenomenal to them, a relationship was formed pretty early on because we were seeing some sweet results from these videos, and so were they. And so they worked with us a little bit more closely because as they were trying to woo other clients, they could say, look at this interesting town of 3,000 people and look at the results of these Marysville Minutes. And so along the way, they were very generous with their time and talents. You know, we had a contract to do these monthly minutes, But on the side, we got a lot of free stuff. For example, for the last 2 Decembers, we've had those 4 Christmas commercials that we do for the businesses. Those were done free of charge. This year we had Light Up Marysville commercial that ran on WIBW. They did that free of charge. The commercials for Big Blue River Days, Orchestra on the Oregon Trail, and the Mother's Day weekend, those were all done free of charge because they saw that they were helping us, and along the way we were helping them too. But something else happened as we were working with them. If you look at our committee currently, and maybe compare us to 2 years ago, along the way, they've offered some fantastic professional development for us. And so as we sit in our committee meetings and make decisions about how to spend these funds, about how to attract visitors to Marysville, we have a whole different toolbox. Because we've worked so closely with them, they've offered us good training, good ideas, good insights along the way. It was kind of a nice side benefit. So as they were working with us on these fantastic videos, they said, but what you don't have is a fantastic website. You know, when we want people to see the video at the end, it says go to visit marysvilleks.org, and the website is outdated.
We really don't want them to go to our website.
That's right, because it's not really attractive. It's not really what a tourist wants. And so they said, you know what, we'll design this for you for free. And they have. And so we're really pleased about that. So,
have you seen it?
We have seen it.
Oh, okay.
It's fantastic.
It's awesome.
It is not
Are you
yet.
going to have it Wednesday?
No, it is not yet fully populated. We can't move forward with populating the website until an agreement has been signed with them. But I am the chair of the website subcommittee if anybody has questions about that.
And it's designed for a visitor, whereas the site we have right now, we share with the chamber. And you can, you know, when someone's going to look for chamber stuff, that's different than when someone's going to look for to become here to Marysville. So when they designed the website, then they proposed this contract, this web hosting contract, which our committee talked about and said, you know, because of what they've done for us, we feel we kind of owe it to them to move forward and working with them. And although we know we might be able to get it cheaper like through GoDaddy, we know that the kind of customer service that we're going to get through 502 Media is a lot better than what we're going to get through GoDaddy. For example, this morning I called 502 Media because I had some questions. And later this afternoon I got a phone call from one of their employees. They had been without power all day today, so their phones weren't working, and his cell phone wasn't working, so he drove around until he found a pay phone to call me, because he knew I was meeting with you tonight.
A pay phone exists?
Absolutely. He knew I was meeting with you tonight, and I had to have answers. That's the kind of customer service that we get through 502 Media.
It's nice to know the other, not to interrupt you, the other person on the end of the phone, especially with someone with not a lot of website background, as really no one on our committee has. So.
That's right. So although they might be a little bit cheaper, or a little bit more expensive than a GoDaddy, we feel this is a good investment of our funds. And honestly, we feel they've offered us so many free services that it would not be good to, in good faith, we don't feel we could move forward without working with them. So that's why we're recommending we go with them. I know you had some concerns about that one clause on the second page about the server website downtime, and so I had them reword that. In the first contract, it basically said, you know, if there are some problems, we need to make some changes, we're going to make some changes, and we're going to bill you at $108 an hour. And so if you look back, if you look at the new wording, it says that they'll come to us and confer with us to find out, do you want to make those changes? And today when I talked to Darren said, when I can't even think of when that would happen. He said a freak thing that wasn't 502's issue or a major game-breaking bug would cause them to have to come to us. So I don't think this is going to happen, and they don't think it's going to happen, but in case it does, it needed to be spelled out. But this one does say, at least we have the veto power to say, maybe we're not going to do that.
Yeah, I like the way this reads a lot better. The other one said at their discretion, and that's what I didn't like.
To add on to what Wayne just said too, you know, we've been working with them on this for quite a few months now, and I mean, we've just gone back and forth and said, you know, especially I think we're looking at all these really big tourism websites, you know, Visit Omaha, and we're trying to get these great ideas, and you know, they design it one way, and we're like, no, for Marysville, you know, we need it to be this way, and they've been very receptive, have made all of our changes, and have put, I mean, quite honestly, a lot, I mean, I feel like the time I've put in has been quite a bit, and on their end has been quite a bit as well. So I really feel, again, as the person that's kind of been heading all this up, that it's in our best interest to continue with them, because I think that they'll assist us in any way that we need, so.
Does anyone want to approve this now?
Discussion?
Well, we could either way. Go ahead.
Okay. Thank you for bringing this to us. It is my understanding that it is a contract for $600, so it's $50 a month. And that is going to be our only monthly payment to 502, right? We have discontinued the $2,000 a month, which was the Marysville Minute.
That's correct.
It's my understanding that the Marysville minutes belong to us, and we can, as a city, post those anytime on any media because they belong to us.
And all of the footage that was captured as well, not just the actual final product, all the photos and the videos and everything are ours. In fact, we are planning to use them on the website and in other ways, so you're absolutely correct.
And other people the school has used them as well.
And this isn't really had to do with this, but we've kind of been culminating all of our work. There's going to be a recruitment video. Our last final video is a great use of all that footage, and then it will be available to anyone in the community to use, businesses, the school.
So I think you're very, very excited about it. I've not seen y'all, this committee, that's excited in working to promote Marysville since we started work with 502. Is that right, 502? And I think this is a heck of a deal.
Thank you.
I think you all will be really pleased.
Just so you know, we are paying it annually. On page 4. It's an annual payment. It's an annual payment.
We can do it monthly, we just thought for
Well,
ease of not coming back here.
I'm just saying that's what it breaks down.
I know, I just want to let you know that we are paying it annually.
Right.
All right, I'd move to approve the pay request from Convention and Tourism to 502 Media Group for web hosting in the amount of $600.
I second it.
Is there any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? 8-0. And I just want to say that Marysville has just come off like a crazy 2 weeks. And I know Convention and Tourism and Main Street and Chamber, a lot of people have been involved. But I tell you, we have had a whirlwind here in Marysville. We had the barbecue, we had the car show, we had the Jolly Jogathon, we had Bike Across Kansas, and we had the premiere of the Black Squirrel. So, I mean, we've had thousands of people in our city the last two weeks, so I think it's amazing. So thank you for your work.
And actually, as I was walking in, we have now sold 21 squirrels.
That is amazing. So thank you. I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right. Brianna. Snapchat.
Yeah. Okay, I only have 9 of these, so some people will have to share.
I know nothing about Snapchat.
I'll try to
I'll
explain
take
it to the
one.
best of my ability.
You don't want one. You know what this is?
She showed me. I don't know Snapchat, but she showed me what she's going to do.
So left in the dust on the stage. Tell me how to do this.
Okay, so I'm Brianna Cook. I'm Pete's stepdaughter, actually. And what has been brought to my attention for a lot of kids my age is a Snapchat geo filter for Marysville. So Snapchat is an app that you can get on any smartphone where people can send 10-second pictures or videos to their friends, and they can choose who to send this to, or they can post it on their story. And their story is something where they can post those pictures or videos and everyone that is their friend can see them. So a Snapchat geo filter is a location-based overlay so they can put those on their picture, and people pretty much, you can see where they are and what they're doing. And if you turn the page, you'll see 3 different ones. The first one's for the Kansas City Royals, second one's Lake of the Ozarks, and the third one is for Manhattan, Kansas. Okay, and go ahead and turn the page again. So this is the first design I came up with, and it has the black squirrel, and then I put a couple different pictures behind it so you can kind of see what it involves and how it would look. Go ahead and turn the page one more time. And this is the second design I came up with, and it has like the brick street in Marysville and then also the black squirrel. So pretty much what we would need to decide is which one we like, or if we want different ideas, and then this is free to do. All we have to do is set the location where we would want it and then send it into Snapchat and they would approve it.
Is Wayne still over there?
No, he actually talked about this.
Convention and tourism.
Yeah. I actually messaged him on Facebook, and I don't know if he got a new Facebook or something, but he never replied to that. But I did think of bringing it with them first and see what they thought about it and what they would want to put with it.
Are they still out there, Kenny? He's going to go check. He's going to chase them down.
Yeah.
Because it sounds like it's kind of in their bailiwick.
Yeah, yeah. And it's really fun, like when there's the car show or the dance recital, or if people are just coming into town for family or to hang out with friends, and they can post it and say that they're here. So it kind of gets...
So you claim a location?
Yeah.
Like Marysville, Kansas?
Yeah.
You claim it?
Something like that.
Those by streets, we could do Main Street, the swimming pool different, you could do the high school different. You just draw a map like you do, if you've ever been on the 911, when you call in, they say, you set the parameters where you want it. You can have more than one at one time. Like I said, you could do the car show just down Main Street, or the Black Squirrel just down Main Street. The aquatic center could have a different one. You set the parameter where you want it and how long you want it when you take it off. Or you can say, I just want it the 3 days of the car show or the 5 days of the car show.
So who views it?
Anyone who has Snapchat.
If you're in Marysville in that parameter, it will happen if you use Snapchat.
So on Snapchat, what you do is you take the picture, you take the video, and you swipe left, and it'll bring up, if you're in that perimeter, it'll bring up that filter.
Hey Barbie, you want to be here on behalf of Convention and Tourism and kind of see if this is a link for you guys?
Can you send it to Facebook?
Well, you'd have to save the picture and then you could post it on Facebook, so that's kind of a whole different thing.
Are you familiar with Snapchat?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so we're like talking about a Snapchat geo filter. So something like that, or there was this one.
My daughter Maggie just said last week, she's like, why can't Marysville get a, what do you call it?
Snapchat geo filter.
Okay. She said Marysville needs to do that, especially with the squirrel going on.
Well, because Seneca, Kansas has one. Manhattan, Kansas City has a couple. Manhattan actually has a couple for just their campus too.
So can anyone post to it?
If you have Snapchat, yeah.
Your friends like Facebook, and then you Snapchat something, and you can put Chicago or New York or Marysville or whatever.
You put this overlay.
Yes, it comes over your picture.
Is this something that Convention and Tourism would control, or is it out of your control?
I don't know.
Is it something to be controlled, or is it totally out of control?
Who sets the filters? Who sets those?
I don't know.
What's the value? Yeah, that's where you're going. Okay, that's what I was. And who maintains them?
Good job. Thank you. Thank you.
Scott looked at it as well, because she came in with that idea, and it was a great idea, we thought, but we didn't think that some group could do it without the city council approving it, as opposed, because it's the city's stuff. And all it is, like I said, is anybody can go out there. It's a website. You can go out there and set that parameter where you want, and it appeared that you just had to ask for it to do it, and they would okay it. And you set it, and like I said, you can set dates or months or just areas. Like I said, you could do it just, if you were on Main Street and took a picture, it would say Marysville, Kansas. But if you were at your house, it would not, if you Snapchat from that place. That's what it's
I think what we're thinking is like the whole city of Marysville. So if I was out at Walmart and I took a picture, for some reason I would want to post that, I just swipe left and it'd say I'm in Marysville, or I'm on Main Street, or at the school.
But only if you're using Snapchat.
Yeah.
Only.
But then I could save those pictures and post it. Like the Kansas City Royals one when I was at the game, I saved that picture and posted it on Facebook.
So you were saying you had her come here specifically because she wants Marysville, Kansas associated with this?
Yes, and you would have.
And you want your Snapchat to include all of Marysville, Kansas?
Yes, that'd be cool.
The only real downside that I'm sitting here racking my brain for what the downside could possibly be is if somebody else if they're setting it up, Convention Tourism or Brianna or somebody else setting it up, we're not really out anything there. It doesn't cost any money.
It doesn't cost any money.
The only possible downside is somebody does something we don't want associated with in a snap.
Yeah, that's...
If it's somebody, some bunch of teens drinking and it says Marysville logo on it, that would be the only downside I could think
See, that was the reason why we like, after that training, I didn't press Facebook very much, because you'd have to have somebody watching it all the
Moderating.
time.
Well, this, and Snapchat's unmoderated. That's kind of why
Yeah.
kids like it.
Okay, so if 3 people lined up and wanted to moon the camera, they could do that with Marysville's name across it? Is there any filter? Is there anybody saying this content is not suitable for this site with Marysville written across their butts?
There's nothing that really like stops them from doing that. Yeah, there's nothing that really stops them from doing that. But I think Snapchat, I'm not for sure on this, but if it is something really bad, they will take it off. Since it's like a,
Quite frankly,
you get
I think she can do it without having her backs moved. I think anybody can.
oh yeah, anyone can do it. Anyone can submit it at any time.
That she asked you.
Yeah, anyone can submit it at any time, and I actually thought about just submitting it, but I figured might as well take it to you guys first so it don't
And
get
if
in
it gets
trouble.
abused, we can always rescind it if we're officially approving it. I guess not really. I mean,
Not
we can,
really,
we can
because
remove
it's out
our
of our
approval.
control. We can remove our approval, but it's not like.
Yeah.
Go ahead, give it a shot.
Give it a shot. Do you guys know which one you like? Does it matter which one?
I like the second. The back
Second one?
page better.
The first one has had a lot of, I've showed a couple of my friends, and a lot of people like the first one, and I like both of them.
I like the bigger squirrel
The
since
bigger
we're doing
squirrel?
all this big squirrel push.
Yeah. See, the first one didn't have a squirrel for a while.
Squirrel.
Bricks are. You said that was bricks, I got it, but I don't know that somebody's
Because it has
gonna.
City
Yeah,
of
the bricks are a little
Marysville, and the
difficult
Black
to
Street,
tell.
and the Brick Street.
Yeah, but I don't think anybody's gonna get that if they just see the logo.
Yeah. So if we come and we say, we're fine with you, if we come and say, okay, we're fine with you doing this Marysville with the black squirrel, starting this thing, what happens next? You just start doing it and other people do it and everybody does it, and how will we ever know if we have a problem?
I guess.
Are you gonna come tell us?
You need to download the app and follow it, because you have to follow it, right?
Keith, will you be responsible for following this? And let us know if there's anything that we need to be aware of?
I do have Snapchat, yes.
I do. Darn kids.
Well, Snapchat, you have like, it's kind of like Facebook. So you have all your friends, and so if you post something or you send it to that friend, only they can see it. So if I put it on my story, only my friends can see it.
Only your friends can see it.
Yeah.
And it goes away in 24 hours.
Yeah, it goes away in 24 hours.
It's ephemeral. That's kind of its base.
So you can put, or
So if
you
you're
can do
not
your
on-
10
if-
seconds.
If you're not on my friends list and I send a Snapchat, you won't be able to see it.
Unless you
I know,
can
but how would
forward
we
it.
ever find out if anything
Or if you use a
is
second
offensive out
software
there?
Okay, so you know how people will go steal a gnome out of somebody's yard, and then they'll travel with it all around the world, and they'll show it on the Great Wall of China. Could people do that around Marysville, like in front of the Kester House,
Yeah.
and then down at the Pony Express horse, and in time they'd be showing all the sights to see? I mean, it'd be kind of advertising.
It'd be kind of advertising because, like I said, people do save those pictures after they put the filter on them and post them on Facebook. So it may say they're in Marysville, Kansas, but if they take a cool picture, put the filter on it, then it kind of shows something.
So you have this map area of Marysville, Kansas, and whenever you take a picture within that area, this screen is going to go around it and post.
Yeah, if they choose to. Like I said, you can swipe left, you can put it on there, but they don't always have to be on there.
And Keith is going to monitor this. He's going to be the parental control.
Ad hoc Snapchat committee.
Yeah. So Keith, you keep an eye on Snapchat for us. Let us know if we have a concern. So do you guys want to go ahead and give her your blessing and permission and
Do you know which
encouragement?
one you guys like?
I think they like the second big one.
Second?
It's a big squirrel.
Oh, the big squirrel?
The big
Is there any
squirrel.
way you can get Kansas on there anyhow, though? It just says Marysville.
I can try, yeah.
I think that's kind of a good idea, Kevin.
Because there's more than one Marysville
Yeah, you're
in
right,
the
yeah.
United States. That's true.
But hey, we're the one with the black squirrels.
You're just taking the picture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why.
Yeah, I'll try to put Marysville,
Can you get
Kansas on there.
I think that's a good idea.
Okay. Do you want me to bring it back to you, Debbie, or do you just want me to
go?
You can get the vinyl back here if you want, or just go for it. Yeah, just go for it. Okay.
Yeah, and send us some pics.
Yeah.
And Keith will,
I'll make sure to send some to Keith so we can show you guys.
Maybe this could be your perspective. Turn around, get us all.
Bless it.
Bless it. Okay.
Go in peace, my child.
Is that a consensus?
Yeah.
I believe so. All right.
Thank you guys very much.
Good luck. Thanks for educating us.
Yep, no problem.
Kind of scary. All right. Ken Kickaker, you're up.
Good evening.
Ken, how are you tonight?
I think most of you know me, Ken Kickaker, CPA. I'm your city treasurer. And I think after the audit report, you guys wanted me to come and kind of talk to you about what I do as your city treasurer. I think some of the things I do got overlooked by the auditor and didn't get tested in their procedures. But basically on a monthly basis, I will take Cindy's records and your pay ordinances and everything, and I rekey everything into my QuickBooks program, make sure that I reconcile with what the city's records show. And of course we sign the checks, payroll checks and the other checks as they come out every other week. And then we reconcile the bank account to make sure everything ties out, and I kind of compare that to Cindy so we're all on the same page, and everything's been going well there. But in addition to that, we also monitor the pledge receipts to make sure that you got enough pledging to satisfy your requirements to have your investments at the bank covered and financially secure. We quarterly do a treasurer's report. And then some of the things that really came about that probably brought me here today deals with the judge's report and the money that's going through there. And we're working on some new procedures. This is stuff that the treasurer had never done before, but I've been reviewing the bank rec, and I found out the auditor never did look at the treasurer or the judge's check register to see if it tied to the bank rec. She tried to reconstruct everything instead of looking at the check register, so she didn't think the bank reconciled.
That's what she
But I've
said.
been monitoring it every month, and it reconciles to the check register. So what we're starting to do now, and we haven't gotten it completed yet, is we're going to try to find out that based on what the judge assesses, is that getting into the accounting records to make sure everything's recognized, and then also getting into the receipts into the check register. So we're adding some procedures to what we're doing, trying to strengthen things for the auditor, but the auditor never came and asked me, and I asked her if she looked at the judge's check register, and she says, no, I didn't know they had one. So she couldn't see that to reconcile to what the check register showed, and then that ties back, of course, to the computer entry.
That made no sense to me when she said.
Well, I was shocked too. She didn't even seem to know that, or seem to think about asking for one. So.
Yeah. So from an accounts receivable standpoint, does Ruth have an AR balance carry forward? Accounts receivable carry forward?
There's a computer printout that keeps track of outstanding balances.
Yeah. Okay.
And what I'm trying to do is get a process started where I come up with the actual judge's rulings to see if those are put into that accounts receivable program. And then we just have to monitor it to make sure that the collection's getting the check register and tie that out. So
is the only way to do that is to have the judge look at it? Look at the report?
That's what I'm not sure where you want to go with this, whether you want to try to have me get something established and then have somebody internally do that, or,
because the only one that, at the court, the only people that know what the judge determines is Ruth and the judge, right?
Well, the court documents.
Yeah.
I mean, they'd be in writing.
And Judge Lemereau signs off on all that, so he sees what's documented, so that's your document?
Right.
Okay.
But there probably isn't that much activity that somebody external couldn't come in and review what's the judge assigns or
ties to your report. Yeah.
Right. Make sure that's getting into the accounting system, and then once it's in there, then we'd have audit trails to see if anything disappeared.
Yeah.
Is this something you want to do? I mean, permanently? I mean, review everything, what they do? Is this something you want to do?
I can, but it would be in addition to what the regular treasurer's procedures have been. It'd be more of an internal person that somebody, and I don't know where you would find the person that would have the time to do that, but that's where segregation of duties is important, and in a small organization it's really hard to do that. You've got one person handling all the money and the accounting for it, there's really no oversight of that within the city organization.
And that was one of her concerns.
Right.
Ruth was doing it all by herself without any oversight of it.
Well, I was overseeing the bank rep, but she never came and asked.
Okay.
So the bank is reconciling to the check register, but what's getting in the check register isn't being tied back to the judge's report. And that's a step we're trying to bridge, and we need to find a way to do that internally, whether it's something we add to my duties or if it's something we find someone else within the city can do that on a regular basis. And it doesn't have to be a 100% test, just testing to make sure.
Right.
She just tested 10% of the transactions every month to make sure.
Well, I know she said just once a quarter, you know, just so we had something to.
But just in the last 2 months.
From that standpoint, even our finance and admin committee could look at it. I mean, there's no reason why we couldn't do a test run once a quarter of.
Right.
There's no reason why we can't be the internal person.
I'm not sure I've got any concerns that it's not being recorded.
Right. Yeah.
We just don't have any tests to show that it is.
You think it'd be
it's a
okay?
protection for the city and for the employee.
Exactly.
Do you think it'd be okay if a committee of the council would do that?
Sure. Where I'm at right now is I'm trying to figure out exactly how those can be tracked, and then I can get with somebody on the committee that can.
So you're going to track, here's the ruling, which was a $100 fine. Here's then the entry on the accounts receivable that says somebody owes $100, and then when that's paid, here was the payment, and that ties back to this deposit. So if you got a $1,000 deposit.
The main question is if the judge assessed this, did it get recorded? Once it's in the system, there's got to be some way to get rid of it, which would create an audit trail.
Right, that's what.
We don't know for sure that everything that's assigned is getting into the system.
But there can be a timing thing there that the ruling's here, the payment is the next month, so we just have to be able to track this.
When the ruling's made, it should go into the system as a receivable.
Or we could just pull 1 month transaction during the course of the year and just track.
Well, but I think it should be an ongoing kind of, I mean, this would be something that's an ongoing document, right? So it's something you could audit. I mean, we
do a sample.
Yeah, you could do, but it should all tie out in the end. There should be, you know, what's left.
What the auditor tried to do is reconstruct the bonds that were assessed and the collections were made and reconstruct the whole record, which isn't really the way you audit. And she wasn't coming out with what was supposed to be there. So it's just something that we need to get something in place, and I'm currently working on it out of tax season. We're trying to get some time to follow up on this, and I've got some things to go through now when I find the time.
Will you let us know, and then we'll kind of take a look at what you set up and figure out how we're going to do it, make a procedure up, and take the responsibility.
I think we could probably just, the admin group could look at it and then report back, or even come back, but yeah.
And we just want to document the procedure so ongoing people would know who's ever on that committee.
And we can show something to the auditor, show this is being done.
And we could sign off on it,
Okay, any other questions?
Mayor, I have a question for you and for Ken. If you use the admin and finance committee, I don't know how many of them you are, if there is a problem.
Do you want to come up to the podium? She wants you.
Can't hear you.
We want you at the podium, Chief.
If there would ever become a problem, say you guys found something that come into question, and we have to bring it back to council, say something big happened that you found, you're already sitting in the council, you're already the committee. How can you make a decision if something happens if you're the committee that found it? You know what I'm saying? You're already involved if you found it, and it comes right back to the same people that found it.
But we're not a quorum, though.
No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is if you send a committee in, and your quarterly, monthly, whatever that you're talking about, and you find something.
And there's 3 people, but go ahead.
Well, 1 or 10, I don't care. What I'm saying is if you come back here, say, we have found this problem, and say it goes further to where a legal standpoint, they're going to come back and say, you're making a decision. The people making the decisions either for disciplinary or for legal action are also the same people that you're trusting to testify because they found the problem. Don't put yourselves in there. Is what I'm saying. We've done things like that before. Use an outside source, either pay Kenny to do it or somebody that's not a governing body member. I think you'll put yourself in some way. You see where I'm going with this?
We had to do that when we were discussing an issue where our city attorney was kind of on the opposite side of what we'd been told, using the Kansas League of Municipalities attorney, and we had to go to a third party. It was supposed to be an independent third party, so we'd have to go to somebody outside to come in, since we would have
It's kind of a checks and balance thing. That's just my opinion. I've seen things before, years ago. It was on the disciplinary side. Rick, remember this? We had the same people being appealed to that made a disciplinary decision. Well, how do you do that? You done made your decision, but it's appealed back to you. It's kind of the same thing. I just might suggest that's something you need to really look at and think about, is have somebody that's not in the governing body or in the court system, obviously, do it. Not me, because we obviously work side by side and I don't get into the court whatsoever. But anyway, I was thinking about that, just trying to keep out some legal trouble.
We appreciate that. So, Kenny, why don't you get it done, and then we'll go over, and I'll meet with you and figure out how much work it's going to take, and then we can decide whether it's going to be you or somebody in-house. Is that fair enough?
Sounds good to me.
You guys all right with that? Yep.
Okay.
Because at least I'll write out the procedures of what we want them to do, so you guys would know. All right?
Okay. Anything else?
Nope. We're glad you came, Kenny.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kenny.
Thank you. All right. Rick Bloomer. You're up.
I'm here on that same old thing, the relining of the floodplain down there in the industrial park. And we just received this map here the end of last week, I believe it was, where this new line, this line that keeps changing, has now went through the corner of our building, which has been somewhat unsettling because honestly, this big picture, this whole thing here, the water cannot do anything that it shows on the map. Climbing this hill 6 foot high, being 6 foot higher and 6 foot lower down below. It can't go through the corner of a building that's perfectly level and only get part of that building. This whole thing is, and I called it a fictitious thing. I spoke to Brad Fagan about it, and the next step, and this happens quite often, is that I would have my building certified, where they would actually come in and actually measure the elevation on my building, certify it, and then it would be out of that window. Well, he told me that they were struggling with this whole thing a little bit because when they go from AutoCAD to PPS, the two different softwares they use to put this together, it'd go through the east corner of my building, and when they went vice versa the other way, it'd go through the west corner of my building. Just another one of these silly glitches that's kind of on top of the fact that this whole thing didn't look right to me. Well, I spoke to Bill Singer, and he had a very interesting interpretation of this thing when he said it appears almost like it would be opposite. Well, when you take and line draw this out and flip it over, then it's correct. That little peninsula, it shows where it hangs down, that's where it goes around Dan Hoyer's building, where he built it up a foot or a foot and a half. It almost follows the 1160 flood line, the original flood line like it was. This part, this section here, and I say it's what it appears when you look at it, but you can flip that and it's just like the water goes down there. It's so true to the line. When those culverts plug from debris, there's 2 or 3 culverts on that west end that I don't know what they're there for. Originally, they were there for the trains to cross. As far as I know, unless that's been calculated into something else on the building of the dike, they're there for no reason. But when they do plug, and they have once last year, And then again this year, when we had that 250 in an hour and 15 minutes here, and just north of us, the 275 runoff. It doesn't affect us down there when they do plug, but it will flood up on Dan's and behind Dan's building there. Where now on this line, it doesn't even show water can get there. On this new revision map, I spoke to Dan Fagan again on this here and asked him, we went through the whole thing, explaining it to him, and he's taken another look at it, because the actual common sense of it is that this top part of this is backwards. There's no 6-foot high wall of water east of my shop. And where the water does flood now in that corner from those culverts blocking, this won't even show water there. But if you flip it around, it's just true to the line. When Dwayne Bailey was up here and he threw these other cross-section lines in here because he could, he put 4 of them in there, which lowered the water. All said and done, he said after calculations, I spoke to him for a short and I said, so it's going to end up being 1160 again. He says, well, maybe 1161. In other words, if this was flipped, it looks right. I don't know if that's what's going to happen, but they're looking at it again to see. Because, you know, in reference to that, when they're jumping back and forth from AutoCAD to PBS software, this thing's changing just by transferring one from one corner of the building to another. In other words, there's some glitches and something's not right. It sounds foolish, but if you do that, it looks right to the contours, it looks right to what we see, and there's no longer a 6-foot wall of water east of my building. Because if that water is at my building 6 foot high, the elevation lines go straight to tension. It's impossible. And I'm not an engineer, but I just common sense when you look at it. When that water does block in those culverts down there right now, not the 1160, it's way lower than that, but there's a contour line on the map that it's just right to it. The water does what it always has done. Some things have changed, but this, it isn't right, and I'm here just to
well, now, you don't know if this is a final map or not, right?
This was as close as it's close to where they are going to be, where it stands in the whole system. But like I said, Brad's going to look at it again.
Because I was going to say, we haven't been given this from Schwab Eaton yet.
I just received it on an email from Bob. It was put out May 17th. I think Rick Shane received it then.
You got this May 17th?
I don't know. I went back to try and find it. I couldn't find it, but maybe I didn't go back far enough. No, I don't.
As it went down through the mainstream, I got it June 9th.
Well, we've never seen it. I've never seen it.
So this picture is after all the testing they did?
I got files from them that I could not open. My computer didn't, so I had no idea what they were.
This is supposedly after all the testing. But like Rick said, it can't. I mean,
yeah, the hill's on that side.
There's a hill behind him. There's no way there can be a 6-foot wall back there of water.
There was some explanation last time when they were up here about how, you know, how water goes through. When the creek is up and it's going through a curb and embankment, and like you've seen it where there's a swirl and the water kind of builds up. And that was somewhat of my gathering of the explanation that they gave here. But that for something like this, to do this down there, there would be such a tremendous amount of water roaring through there. And still, with it being that high there, take your highest point and just follow an elevation line, and it goes straight to tension envelope. Now, I understand it's somewhat of a money game, and everybody, like, I'm not calling foul on Schwab Eaton by any means, because I do know from what they've told me, there's only so much they can work with. They have to try to fix what they are given to work with. I just think there's a glitch. If you flip that, it's right.
Is this right here where the culvert is? that you said sometimes gets clogged? Is
Yeah,
it
it's
right
down
there?
at the end of those trees, right before it goes underneath the...
Right there.
Yeah.
And so if we, is there anything to be gained by making that bigger?
I don't know why they left them. I would think this, honestly, I mean, if this is out in the country, they would take them out and they'd use them someplace else where you can use them. They're hefty culverts, but...
But the water does go through there.
It does.
Yeah.
But it's like a filter for the debris because it's all trees all the way up to the Marysville Lake. And so when we get an ice storm and all this breakage and just normal windstorm stuff falls down, and we do get water, and it kind of cleans and goes through there, and everything has to go through those culverts, but it can't. I know the city's been down once to clean it, maybe twice, okay, twice. And it's just, to me, when I look at it, it would be such a simple thing just to take them out. I don't know if there was some kind of
Well, there are
reference.
two tubes. Can we take it out and put a big square cement?
You don't need
culvert?
nothing there.
Well, we have to get the water through there, though.
No. That's the old rail bed. The only reason they're there is
Oh, you
'cause
mean take the hill out?
Just where the...
Pull the tube from the earth around them.
Yeah.
And just have a ditch through there.
Ah, okay.
It's just a natural flow of water.
So you're
If the
saying not
culverts
take the
got
tubes
left-
out, but take the
Yeah.
hill out?
There
and
ain't
make
much
it
of
a
a hill
valley.
left because the
No,
water's got...
there's not much,
Yeah.
because it's already going over the top when this happens. It's doing
Well,
it
why
by
didn't we
itself.
discuss taking that out before then? When was Schwab meeting?
I don't know why.
Why didn't we talk about
Well,
that?
but I don't,
Well,
would
because
that
that
really
wasn't-
change their
that wasn't
finding?
an
I mean, that might solve a potential problem, but it's not really going to change their
But it's
findings.
It
gonna-
should change the uphill, Annie.
Yeah.
Well, it would drain the water a lot faster if that hill wasn't there. And it just had those tubes versus being flat,
But I'm guessing
wide
if the
open.
would,
It would, and I'm sure it makes a difference, but
100-year
also
flood,
at
it'd
the
probably be
same
above that
time,
height, would it be?
if they do, it doesn't seem to do
Does the
anything.
city own those tubes?
It
We
is,
clean them out.
Well, but that's not the same thing.
Is that berm ours?
Well, would they
Rick?
put in there as a
We own
safety?
that berm?
Yes.
We own the berm?
It's not somehow
Some
weird,
ideas, yeah.
it's not technically railroad property or something funky.
Yeah, we want to
It's-
go taking
it's
those out.
cities.
Okay.
It was engineered and designed that way for some reason. I don't know if it had to do with the way the Corps of Engineers put this in, and if we go fool them with that and pull those out, and they say, you know, we have a flood and property damage, and they say, I don't know why you took those out. When we designed this whole area down here, we put those in there.
Those weren't put in when the grade
So
separation
somebody just
was
said,
done.
hey, let's go put a couple of those in there?
Those are there.
Rick just said that they were there when they had the old rail line up to tension.
Yeah, the railroad, the
Yeah,
berm
they
makes
just
the
left
railroad.
them. This is what my perception of it is, because the dike, it has a curve in it. They used part of the rail bed for, I know it's not going to be the right word, but the dike around city proper. And that's just
Corps
one
of Engineers.
section that they just left it, is what it looks like to me. But I don't know if that is something calculated in for something. I wouldn't know why.
Okay, this whole thing about having to redistrict this and remap this is what caused the problem, which the businesses that are down there are concerned because if that puts, the redrawing of a map puts them back in a floodplain, your insurance goes skyrocketing. So did you just say in the beginning, when you first stepped up there, did you say that all it was going to take was to have, you could have somebody come out there and measure, and measure your building and certify it?
At this point.
And that would be acceptable by your insurance company?
Well, it's acceptable for everybody. At this point, it would be a FEMA elevation certification, and they do this all the time. After the study has been done, and at this point, you're looking at this study, and it shows a corner of my building is in it. Because this LiDAR is not, they call it really accurate, but at the same time, you want to remember, it can't differentiate between weeds and ground. So there is some elevation, as when the airplane flew over, some elevation differences there that can be documented. They have done some groundwork down there. Brad told me they had not done this, took that type of close, because they were, again, answering to either Olson or FEMA, the steps that goes through this. I don't know. You know, Brad, from my understanding, he can only work with what LiDAR read, And these lines, Dwayne Bailey drew 4, and originally there was 5 more, 9 total lines going through there. And from there, they work on a corrective solution. In other words, they go through and try to fix what this quick flyover couldn't determine. I'm kind of speaking out of turn. That's really their business in a way, but...
So are you waiting for something from them? Or are you waiting for the final report?
I don't, all I got was this letter, this as an email of where this thing stood at the moment.
But we don't have a final report from Schwab Eaton, as far as you know?
As far as I know, yeah, I'm still waiting on a letter from FEMA, from Dane Bailey, about whether it's accepted or not. But
we haven't.
I talked with Brad Fagan, and he said, yeah, I mean, this immediate solution is an elevation certificate for that corner.
I say we have them come into the next meeting. Have them explain it. Because evidently we don't have nothing in there. It's kind of a surprise to us.
Yeah, well, yeah, we don't. I guess, Debbie, you want to contact them and say we don't have the final report?
Schwab Eaton?
Yeah, Schwab Eaton. Because Schwab Eaton is one that filed the appeal with FEMA.
Because I had, they had sent me some files and I couldn't open them, and I think I advised them about it, but I don't know if they've got, I have to look back to
And if this is the final one, every person goes back a report, right? Something.
Well, and I would think they would have said if there was still a bill.
We haven't paid them yet. They haven't billed us for anything, right? I don't know that.
No, we haven't paid anything.
No, we haven't paid anything, so you would think that they could come and give us a report. So that's a good idea, request them to come. If they're done. If they're not done, let us know the status, right?
If they have the report done, have them bring it and talk to us about it.
And will you let Rick know where they stand as well? And once Schwab Eaton has a report done, then Dave Bailey has to accept it, right? Schwab Eaton presented our case.
Well, it's been
and then
reviewed
FEMA
now,
has to approve it.
which is where it's at now, I think.
So FEMA hasn't approved it yet.
As of today, I have no idea what action there is.
So you want to check with Schwab Eaton and FEMA, Dane Bailey, and see where we're at? Yep. You know more about this than we do, Rick. That's not a very good sign since we paid for the report.
Well, I was in contact with them before you guys got involved when this whole thing started.
At least it sounds like you have an option, right?
Well, I have an
hate to say
option, but at the same time, I'm almost protesting the fact that that can't be right.
Yeah.
If you trace it out, flip it, then it's right. That peninsula is for the buildup of Dan Hoyer's building. The low spot that it shows on it's showing it low or a 6-foot high water on the east side is actually on the west side. And everything almost goes right back to the original. You'll see an 1160 contour line. It follows it fairly close. And that looks real. This other thing, I don't know, because to have water as high as they're showing on the east side of my building, we are all underwater all the way up to tension. I've ran it with transit. I mean, it just is. Those elevation lines, the original ones, are pretty close.
Okay.
Did they give you an idea of what the cost was for the certification?
Pardon?
The certification, did they give you any idea of what that cost?
Yeah, it's going to cost me $500 or $600 to have that done. They're going to be able to utilize some of the groundwork they already have, which consists of, they're farther away from me, some numbers that they have that they can throw in there. So
anyway, whoever does it,
at the same time, I'm hoping just to get the line right.
Yep, I agree.
And then
that'd be the easiest.
Yeah, that would be
his common sense.
Probably the most long-term, the best long-term solution.
Yeah.
Thanks, Bill.
Okay, Debbie will be in contact with you what she finds out, okay? And if they're going to be here, all right, at the next meeting?
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bert.
All right, now we have an easy one. We had some hard ones here. We have a resolution 2016-07. It's laying on the counter.
Move to approve 2016-07.
It has one adjustment. It's corrected in the first paragraph, the whereas paragraph. The number was just written wrong, just to tell you what's different between the one that was in your packet and the one that's on the desk. But go ahead, I'm sorry, Kevin.
Okay, that's fine.
You want to go ahead and make the motion again since I was interrupted?
Yeah, that's all right. Move to approve resolution 2016-07.
Second.
Any discussion?
Well, for anybody listening, it's a resolution to reallocating any anonymous cash donations for purposes of a dog park within the city limits of Marysville, Kansas to the Special Improvement Fund for use of canine-related expenses, in case anybody wants to know where that money went.
Thank you for pointing that out.
Yes.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 8 out. Thank you very much. Notices and hearings. I was expecting Dan Kurz here tonight. Dave, you want to come and present our case?
I figured he'd be here too. I don't know where he's at. I just talked to him Friday afternoon, so.
He was in his front yard. He was in the yard. I drove by there about 6 o'clock, and I hadn't been by there for a while, so I thought I would
see what's been done.
Yeah,
a little bit.
Okay, pictures I gave you, I put the date on them and stuff. Tried to match up some of the same shots. You can see any change or not. To take the most recent ones, I went around with him Friday. Still a mess. Most all of this east side, he's got this auction thing set up for the 24th. I give that to you.
He does have an auction?
Yeah.
It's in the packet.
I think on the 24th, right?
The 24th.
That's what he was supposed to talk to you about last meeting when he was here, and he never said nothing about it, so.
Wow, we didn't know about that last meeting, did we?
Nope. If you look at the pictures, all those tires are supposed to be on this auction. He told me the wood on the racks are supposed to be on it. Everything on the east side. He's got a couple vehicles, trucks I don't have on this, but I think 1 or 2 of them trucks might be on them old pictures.
Well, he stated that all that wood was for remodeling the house.
He's gonna build a building.
He's got to build a shed up there.
Yeah, well.
You specifically.
Did he ever get electricity in it? Does he own it?
No.
Electricity's not hooked up.
Electricity's not hooked up.
Does he own it?
As far as I look, no, he does not.
He's buying it on contract from another person who's buying it on contract, right?
Yes, there's 3 people involved.
What? Well, I understood that the first person was buying it on a contract from Joanne. I'm not positive how this one's working, so I don't know.
That's what got me property, that's why we had a title search done.
They say he's still working on that, but it's not a final deal, so.
So his auction, I assume if he printed this out, it's gonna happen. It's for real?
But here's the thing, is
I'm assuming.
Even if there is an auction, it doesn't guarantee, I mean, I've gone by places where there were auctions a month later, 6 months later, and it's not like you sell everything and not everything's taken.
Yeah.
It doesn't guarantee a cleanup.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah, just because you offer old tires for sale doesn't mean that
Well,
he just pretty much told me everything on that east side over there was what was going to be on that auction and stuff. If you notice the little, that's about the third pitch of this, the picture of the fence where the tires are, and then I took one inside there. Those are all the mowers and stuff that he works on. And that basically stuff there is going to stay.
This stuff?
Yes, that's inside that fence there.
And that's gonna stay?
That's the stuff that people own that, and that's what he's working on, so.
Yikes. What is this zone? Isn't this R2 or an R1, a residential?
Yes.
It doesn't have a crossover to an industrial or to a light?
Nope, they don't.
So he can't have a business out here anyway?
He could have a home occupational business if he wants. Yes, he could. But this stuff has to all be screened. It has to be in a building. It deals with it, how much business you have at that place and different things. So
this is going to take him years at this rate.
When I think he said he was going to fence some of this in, and you made the point that given the elevation, I don't care what, you'd have to build a 20-foot high fence.
Yeah, he's down here. All of his neighbors are up here.
Yeah.
You can see over a 6 or 8 foot fence.
Yeah, no, it's not, a fence is not.
Did he mention to you when you were up there, Dave, about building a garage?
Oh, yes, many times, yeah.
Okay,
I'd been up to do, you talked about the electrical, I went up to do an electrical inspection with an electrician. There's no way Westar was going to allow that line coming through those trees like it was. So he was supposed to go do that. That's where some of the tree trimming stuff came in originally, probably. I'm not sure all of them are out there. Westar called City Hall today and asked if there was electrical done on that. So since Friday, he must have called Westar again to see about getting the power hooked up. Oh yeah, I did the inspection, but I didn't approve it. Plus, I never got inside the house because he wasn't there. So the electrical inspection is not done.
Well, the last time he was here, he said he was going to have electricity in the house real soon.
Well, he can have it as soon as he can have it as soon as I go in and check the panel inside and the panel outside, and if Westar wants to run it through them trees, that's entirely up to them. They don't do that very often, do they?
Yeah. Okay, well, I'm sorry, Dave. He has plans for the stuff that we see in the pictures that are noted on the east side. What about all this stuff on the north side and the west side and the south side?
Well, the boards there on the northwest side on that pallet rack, on those racks, he said that's all going in the auction. Those tires and stuff that were sitting out there is going in the auction. That little building, he says, that little metal building, he said he's tearing it down. He's always doing a lot of things.
He's always doing what?
So he's going to do a lot of things. They just don't get accomplished.
Well, when we started this back on March.
Oh, yeah, we're back.
Well, the first notice I see is, official notice was in March, right? And we've been giving time and giving more time, and I drive by there, and I mean, I don't see anything happening, and then all of a sudden something's happening, but not enough. I mean, I don't know what the precedence is for this, but how long do we go along with this?
The only thing, I talked to the city attorney about it, and he said that make sure that Mr. Hers was served with this resolution. And our document that we had signed says acknowledgement of receipt of notice to abate nuisance. It doesn't say that he did not sign to say he received this resolution, in which it says that we would remove it and assess him the cost. So we don't have there's a form here, and they use the form letter, but it just does not specifically address this resolution. So tonight, when he was here, I was going to ask him if he received this resolution. So at this point in time, we're not 100% sure that he received this resolution, and we have to make sure that that has been served to him. So I think it's in our best interest to have a document like this signed, referring to this resolution, delivered to him.
Well, who was supposed to have delivered it the first time?
Well, the form that he signed, it was signed 3/16, so it was probably this.
Yeah.
Probably isn't very good in a court of law.
So he was handed 2 pieces of paper, signed one, there's the other one, and we really need to sign that to enforce it, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's what our city attorney said, is you have to be
Okay.
sure that he was served this resolution.
Okay, well, let's
And he
do
was
that.
served something on 3/16, but it doesn't specifically say this resolution. So
Anybody could just avoid, because if they just decide, refuse to sign that, basically, then they can avoid any penalties. Is that?
Well, let's just
Yes,
have the
Evan?
us have him sign it. If that slows us down a
I
month.
think
then-
what I would say is to go ahead and prepare the same form that specifically says resolution this, have him sign it that he has received this resolution, let him do his date of sale, get rid of whatever he has to, because we're gonna have to pay for the rest of it to be moved out. So there's an advantage to let him have this. He actually has a sale bill.
All you gotta do is put a return of service where the officer can sign it when he or she serves it. Because right now, there was no return. Our officer served it because it's in her daily log. She served it that day. But it says an envelope. Well, we don't open envelopes from City Hall. But she did serve an envelope that day to that address, to that person.
So that somebody has they have to hand it to somebody.
We physically hand them. When Dave calls, they have something, we'll come over and get it. We'll physically hand it to the person.
And then the officer can
We don't leave them in mailboxes, none of that.
And I think it would serve us well if we're gonna get to the point that we're gonna pick up the property to make sure we cross all our Ts and dot all our Is.
I mean, what are you looking at, 30 more days?
Well, but the sale, Bill, if the sale's 24th, then our next meeting is the 27th. Of course, it's sending Dave's out to make more pictures.
That's assuming everybody picks up their
You
purchases
said
that day.
I wouldn't be surprised if they gave him a week or 2 weeks or something to pick it up.
Yeah, he didn't get to do that.
No, well,
You were responsible the
Usually,
day of
yeah.
the sale.
Yep.
Oh,
well, I don't know. Here lately, I've been to a couple auctions that weren't that way.
well, this one's.
I wouldn't do it on the day of the sale, because it may take 2 days for someone that bought the stuff to move stuff
And the
out.
reason is because of heavy stuff. They may have to find a loader and that sort of thing.
Or a trailer?
Yeah, or trailer.
Might be the day of the sale, you
So
have to
this,
serve it.
this acknowledgement of receipt of notice to abate nuisance, this was on the outside of the envelope?
I don't know what
Because
that
his
is.
signature's on here and so is the officer. Signature of officer delivering notice 3/16 and the landowners.
Yeah, that sells.
So this was on the outside of the envelope and the other was on the inside of the envelope, that's why it didn't get signed.
That I couldn't tell you, I have no idea. If there was one with it, she'd have signed it. But she has it in her log that she served it.
She doesn't know what, but your point is she doesn't really know what she's serving. She just.
No, because we
serving
serve
an envelope.
stuff all the time.
She's just serving an envelope. So how do we document that that was the document that was in the
Well, we
envelope?
can only do it going forward.
Yeah, let's
Okay.
just-
So we can have her serve this, or an officer serve this,
officer, yeah.
and you can document that.
Well,
Does this
there's
need-
just a simple return. We use it for civil process. Officer served this document at this date to this person, sign it off, that deal.
And you can bring it to us, okay. And then I think we can proceed, but I just don't feel comfortable until we have that signed piece of
Yeah, we're
paper.
gonna start taking his property
You're
over.
looking
I
at
think
30,
we need to-
40 days is all. I mean, that's not much time to redo
And then
it.
he'll have sold everything, so then,
Moved everything
Hopefully.
else.
May have paid your own
Beautiful deal.
so we'll just make sure this gets done, and then Dave, do you wanna, I know you don't wanna take more pictures, but do you wanna?
I don't mind, man.
He's restoring that baby.
As long as he holds his dog back, I'll take him.
So, do you wanna report back on the
I told him he
27th,
hold
or
that
do you wanna
dog,
wait?
he was going to jail.
Do you wanna do the 27th,
27th?
or do you wanna do it July 11th? Because of the sale. You guys, what do you want to do?
What are our options, Mayor?
June 27th or July 11th for him to come back and us to proceed with this?
July 11th, because that way his whole month is up. We're giving him another month, right?
What do we need on the resolution, 30 days?
Well, the resolution says compliance by June 1st.
Yeah.
So
So are we going to change the resolution now to be the 11th? No.
last time there's no point. We don't have to do that.
Okay.
We're just going to give it to him and say, so it's saying that we have the authority to do it now, but we're waiting, we're postponing.
Got it.
But I'm just trying to figure out, do you want to postpone it until address June 27th or July 11th?
I like June 27th. I think we need to keep
Yeah,
on that.
I think you should. It's not gonna make any difference.
Okay. But you'll take some more pictures, Dave?
I mean, he's got till the 24th to get out what he doesn't want.
Yeah.
And is it gonna be on this auction? And if it don't sell on 24th, he's got 3 days to get the rest of it out of there.
Okay, but you'll take some more pictures for us on the 27th? This is a nice report. I'm sorry that he's not here. Because if he would have said that he had received this, we could proceed with it tonight. But, okay? Your job security.
Thanks, Dave.
Another month.
Thanks for your work. We do appreciate it. Okay. So you'll have that documented. All right, and Chief, you'll take care of it on your side? Okay. All right, anything else for notices and hearings? All right. Consent agenda.
Move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Is there any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 8-0. The next item is the appropriations ordinance.
Move to approve appropriations ordinance number 3628.
Second.
Is there any discussion?
Discussion, Mayor?
Yes?
On item, excuse me, I'm sorry. Oh, on the Roar the Handyman, $15,379.83. This was a retainer, a 10% retainer on the Kester House, the historic Kester House repairs. And who inspected and signed off on this to release the retainer? I looked at these bills.
Ralph has looked at everything. The retainer is only $4,300. We're only holding $4,300.
So the written check for $15,370.
That's because the other part is for the Art Center.
Yeah, 11-3 was from the Art Center. But so did Ralph sign off that it was complete?
Do I have a document that said no? But Ralph has been down there with him. I was down there.
You saw that it was complete?
Yeah, it's complete, yes. We actually had a meeting there inside the kitchen and stuff.
So without anybody signing off on it, we're going to pay a retainage. We're going to give him the money that we've been holding to make sure that everything's done right. So you're
Because
confident.
everything is done right. Everything is done.
Okay, well, how come somebody didn't sign off on it? How come somebody did not
Well,
say?
we don't have a document signing off on that, but he's completed the work.
Well, I think we should have a
We're releasing the
document.
funds.
When we release the funds, I think we should have a document that says this job is done, and somebody actually walked it and looked to make sure that what was in the scope, or what we were paying for was actually done. I mean, that's just business.
You've had that
good business.
conversation with Ralph, right? Because he's kind
I've
of
discussed the work with Ralph.
Yeah, he's kind of the guy in charge.
You're retiring, Rick.
I mean, what would be the sense of not giving it to him? The work is done. The work is done, period.
Okay.
Is the Art Center done
the
as well?
painters are paid. Their work is done. There is no more, other than these 3 things here on my report, some additional work to be done by the foundation. The grant work is done.
Is it Kester House done as well? That 11-3? I mean, Art Center, I'm sorry.
Well,
I don't know if he's got some, I don't know if he's got any touch up.
The thing was there today again.
oh, was it?
Yeah.
Because
When I drove
the
by,
flashing, the
lift.
guttering, all the upper stuff, the one thing I realized I didn't look at was at the base of some of those pillars, the wood was bad, and I thought he was going to replace some of that really rotted out wood, but everything above is definitely
Put
looks
in
really
some
good.
kind of a concrete material at the base of the
Did he?
pillars.
Okay, that's the only thing I didn't look at, but
He told me when he was in last week that he put some kind of a concrete filler in there and tried to shape it so it looked like wood, and it's painted over it so that it won't rot again.
If that got done,
When did you see it?
Sunday. Yeah, I was up there for the reception, and all of the upper part. So if he was back up there today, it was probably just some touch up, because as far as I could tell, everything was done. Other than that piece, and a piece, I'll take his word, because that was the only thing I forgot to ask about, and it wouldn't be something that you would even think about unless you lived on the back side of the building. So
you're happy with it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's going to last as long as the Kester, because the Kester house, you know how they stripped everything down, and I think that's going to last a long time. I don't think this is going to last.
Are the squirrel holes filled?
What's that?
The squirrel holes.
Oh yeah, no, it's the whole thing, because there was some. It looks really good. It looks really nice. It does.
Okay.
That's a huge improvement. So. Okay.
On kind of a different note, I know that Rick mentions it in his report, but you know, he did donate money for the Kester house. Did you guys see that? Mm-hmm. The $900 for one of it, and then another 20, and then $27.18 was donated for the Lee Dam Arts Center when he ran over an overage. So
I missed that.
it was in the box where it showed that he had donated $2,700 worth of work. So thank you, Daryl.
Yeah, thank you.
Daryl.
That looks good though.
And they did nice work. It looks good as far as I know. All right. Anything else?
Yes, I had a question, Mayor, about the Young Backhoe and Trenching, the bore-in-place water service at 311 North 6th Street. Is that a chargeback to the homeowner, or is that a city's responsibility? $774?
No.
Wasn't this to change?
That water service line ran from the water line on the east side of the street over to their pit. Now, their meter pit was removed because of their sidewalk, but that water line broke several years ago, and it's been a constant problem for the homeowner. It has rocks, and they have actually a filter inside on the refrigerator to keep all the rocks and stuff. So we went ahead and just replaced it. It needed to be replaced.
Okay. So it's our responsibility?
Yes.
Okay. Just needed clarification. And I think that's all I needed, Mayor.
Anyone else? Roll call, please.
Bikeman?
Yes.
Biesinger?
Yes.
Voss?
Yes.
Ekis?
Yes.
Fry?
Yes.
Gross?
Yes.
Schroller?
Yes.
Crom?
Yes.
It's 8-0.
All right. Thank you very much. All right, Rick.
Thank you, Mayor. On the comparison statements and fund reports, the cash and budget statements got counted in the page counts, but they did not get in the agenda. So in front of you, you have those like this. There's a third page. It's the sewage revenue fund report. There was an error in the ending balance for the month of May, and so that's been corrected over the one that's in there. The general fund ending balance was $628,237. Last year, the same time, $683,708. But that compares to May of 2014 of $631,979. So if you go back 2 years, you're only down about $2,000. So you can see it swings from month to month. And then our water revenue fund, sewage revenue fund, they both finished the month, positive cash flow. The water revenues are starting to creep up because the sprinklers are coming online, and they're continuing to do pretty good, I think. Sewer revenues, they should level off in June because we're going to be on fixed rates for the rest of the summer. We did take a hit in the sales tax fund with the payment to KDOT. I think future month expenses are going to level off probably about the same as revenues. I don't know of any major expenses that are going to come about that are going to really exceed most of the revenues coming in on a monthly basis.
We had strong, I saw that in the information packet, we had 82,000 for the 1% sales tax for that we received in June, so that's good. That was a good number.
I think it's tracking just a little bit above the same level last year. It's holding its own.
Yeah, when I was looking at this, the only thing my concern was the franchise fees looks like it's trending a little lower than.
Well, gas is up, the electric is down, but with the summer heat and air conditioning going on, give it another month and it may catch up.
Yeah.
Because we had some pretty mild weather when nobody's running heat or air.
Yeah.
So when you have that, it'll level off. But
and our sewer revenues, they should. We had those repairs to the water shop in there, so that's what caused our negative numbers in April for water and sewer. So we won't have that recurring. So it should help bump that up a little bit.
And then transfers report. typical transfers report. Takes into account what's been spent from the funds it's transferred to. And then on this additional work for the museum. The first one here, the 3A, item 3A, is a change in the guttering for the museum. We had a bid of $2,000 from Blue Valley Door, which was approved back in September 2015 to install the guttering on the museum. But Ralph did take the liberty of canceling that with the company because basically they were going to do the installation. I don't know. It's kind of a thing. It had to do with a lot, I believe, with the brackets that were going to have to be done to hold the guttering. So Ralph has been very tenuous in this, and I really thank Ralph for all he's done. Couldn't have done it without him. He found another bidder called Midland Exteriors down in Manhattan, and they agreed to submit a bid on the guttering, and that is a bid for $2,169.90, so basically $170 more than the one from Blue Valley. They also recommend installing a leaf guard system, and they've provided a quote for that work. The amount of that would be $1,551.75. The foundation would pay for the installation of both of these. And so I'd recommend that we authorize Midland Exteriors quote for the guttering, confirm the cancellation of the Blue Valley Door contract, and if you so choose, the additional work for the leaf guard system. That's just going to help on the maintenance around there. Having that leaf guard. Oh yeah. That'll help a lot on the maintenance because there's a lot of trees on that lot.
Did we, when they said that bid was canceled, did we get documentation from Blue Valley that they canceled?
No, but Ralph called them up and told them so.
Do we need documentation since we're going to go ahead and proceed and have someone else do it? Do we need some kind of letter from them that says they're not doing this work?
I don't know if they'll provide it, but we could send some kind of a notice.
I would at least send them an email and say, understand that was canceled, because if this work is done, they could bill us and say, well, we were supposed to do it, and went ahead and did it.
Yeah, we can.
So I would send them an email
We can
that says we're
send them
canceling.
some kind of a notice.
Please.
Make a motion
yeah.
Okay. So I'll move to approve the bid for $2,169 from Midland, and then plus the $1,551.75 for the gutter guards.
That we're going to pay for to be reimbursed by the foundation?
Yes. Thank you.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 8-0. Thank you very much.
And then Darrell Rohr submitted a bid to install the gates on the north and east entrances and the double gate off 10th Street. This was something that Dale Whiting, whom we had paid to do the redo the gates, make the new gates, was supposed to install those. His quote on that, I think, was $670. But he left the state. I think he's out in California, not coming back. So Ralph talked to Darrell. Darrell agreed to do it for $700. It's quite a bit of work. He's actually going to, he explained how he's actually going to install those gates. They should be much stronger than they were before. And of course, the work that Ben did with the masonry work should help hold that. And then, in addition, he proposes to repair and paint the fence on the southwest corner of the property by the flower garden. That's way back on the corner back there by that driveway. He's going to make new posts of one-piece material, and there's a picture in here that shows what one of those looks like. But he's going to make it out of one piece and route all of that detail in there. The price for that is $5,800. That puts the bid at $6,500 if you include the $700 for the installation. That would be paid by the foundation. And then on a side note, Darrell donated $900 in labor for cutting out the wood blocks to hold the gutters and for scraping and painting the windows before he put the storm windows on. And there is a copy of that invoice that says donation. I kind of highlighted that in yellow so you can see that. And recommend authorizing the repairs for the fence with the cost to be reimbursed by the foundation.
I move that we accept the Darrell Rohr's bid for $6,500 to install the gates and repair and paint the fence by the flower garden, to be paid by the foundation funds.
To be reimbursed by the, paid by the city, but reimbursed by the foundation?
Yes.
I second.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 8-0. Or do we usually send a thank you note or something when people donate like this?
Actually, more than I haven't had time to talk with Debbie, but I think...
What do we do?
Well, in the past, when people donated, John McNish would send, there was an IRS form that recognizes donations. We need to get with Craig and find, I'm not sure what that form number is, but
okay,
we could have him prepare one of those and send that to Darrell, since it's backed up with a receipt.
Yeah, that would be nice.
He could prove that it's actually work he did and donated, and I think that would help him. So
yeah, both the 900 and the 2718.
Yeah, we could probably combine those as one.
Yeah, that would be good. So you'll get with Craig and get that done?
Yeah, we'll have to see about it.
What's wrong, Vicki?
The form's the form. It doesn't require us paying an attorney to do it.
Well, I'm going to have to ask him what form it is. He's going to be aware of it. I mean, if he doesn't need to fill it out, we can do that, but I don't recall what the form number is.
All right. Thank you.
All right. You've got one more thing, right?
Two. I've got one that's not on here.
Oh, okay.
Project cost record for the museum's attached. We received our final funds that brought us to the maximum. $22,296.96. That was for request for reimbursements number 5 and number 6. We received that on June 7th. The only thing remaining is the 8707, and there's actually 20 cents. That's being retained by Kent State Historical Society.
And so how do we get that in?
I'm working on a completion report.
Oh, okay.
And so that's got to go, and they have to have the sign. So I got to get the sign down there too. So
you have to return the sign?
Yes, they won't release that money until they get the sign back.
Completion report.
It specifically says that. You got to return the sign.
Interesting. Where do we return the sign to?
It has to go down to the State Historical Society in Topeka. I think I picked it up. If I can't get it in, I'll find somebody to take it down.
Wow. Road trip, I guess, to return the sign. So you think you're going to get that?
I don't think I could mail that sign.
I was going to say.
I'm trying. If I don't have a lot of interruptions. I got some of it started.
Okay. Well, thanks for taking care of that, because I know we had a deadline.
And then the other thing, just the crack sealing job that you contracted for on North Street, 11th Road. Contractor was out there this weekend doing it. He brought the invoice in. The bid was $4,600. I believe it said $4,650 if I read that correctly, was the final cost. But I would suggest each one of you go out there and take a look at it. Don't just zip, zip. Take some time, drive by slow, look at those, and let staff know, i.e. Debbie and or Austin when they're here, because that would be on the next appropriation ordinance. Gary and I went out there Friday and looked. It wasn't done. North 11th Road was done, but he actually Sunday he was working on North Street.
He did Sunday.
I think the work is pretty good, but there are some areas where I think it needs additional filler in some of the cracks.
Did you contact him regarding that?
No, not yet, because it wasn't done. It wasn't done Friday.
Okay.
So, and I don't know that he hasn't gone back, and maybe he went back Sunday and done some of those. But I would encourage each one of you to go out there and look. I mean, we're not talking about a huge amount of money, but
I sat out there.
We need to make sure that you guys are comfortable with the job that
we're talking about doing more of, so we need to make it's a good.
Yeah.
Well, I sat out there and watched him for a half an hour Sunday and talked to him about it. What part did you think?
It was on 11th Road. Parts Gary and I saw were on 11th Road, not North Street, because he'd only done just kind of a little bit on the north side of the cemetery. and then stopped.
Well, why don't we have Gary contact him and discuss it? If you have a concern.
We'll talk about staff meeting in the morning. I'll talk with Gary.
Because there's no reason for us to wait till the next meeting when the appropriation ordinance comes out and deny it.
That's correct, but
I'd rather have.
So I'm saying I want you guys to go out there and take a look at it. If you see any concerns, we also need to know those too. If you're seeing something that we're not seeing.
Well, I'm sure you and Gary walked it.
Well, we didn't walk it, but we drove it 2 different ways. And he looked one time, and then we switched the looks, and there were just a few spots where it needed some additional filler. But overall, I think the work is, I think it's acceptable.
Does the street department want to report to Gary what they see? So that there's a second set of eyes, third set? You guys mind walking it? Walking it. You gonna walk it, Bill?
You don't really have to walk.
You gonna bike it, Kev?
Take Bill golf
You don't have to walk.
Yeah, get the golf cart, that's right.
Stay on the trail.
You could.
Stay on the trail.
Will you guys look at it and let Gary know what you think so that we don't wait until the bill comes and deny the bill, we just get it fixed?
Maybe Bill already has an opinion.
They need to go back and hit a few spots.
Okay, well, will you document it? Will you document it?
Yeah.
And make sure Gary knows it, so Gary can be the contact person for him?
I don't think he missed anything. It's just, I think after it went on by, it settled on down in there. It just needs to go back and fill it
Why
up.
don't y'all take some like sidewalk chalk or something, because those are done in a line here and a line there. And
I was going to talk with Gary about doing that, about marking them in white,
Yeah.
where it needs to be done.
Well, if council's gonna go do it, then they ought to mark a spot they
Take
see
my golf
too.
cart out there and do it.
I think you and Kev can take care of this.
Yeah.
And make sure Gary knows your thoughts.
Tape it to a golf club and just don't even get out of the cart. Just circle it there, do that one and this one over here.
Okay.
He was saying, Rick, he was saying that he was talking about different places that needed done in the city, and he said, really, to be money-wise, we could rent that equipment. He said the equipment's very expensive, especially that hot thing. He said that could be rented, and because the work is not that difficult or technical.
That's always a
He said we could do
possibility,
that in-house.
Yeah, I mean, actually, I think the work is good, the quality's good, but it's just some spots that need to be filled up again.
Okay, all right. Thanks, Rick.
Moving on.
You have anything to? Well, I just think, I wanted to mention that Bike Across Kansas was a great event, and Debbie spent a lot of time, as well as Brenda Stagenborg, to pull it off, and all I heard were very positive comments from the bikers. Todd, you were there amongst them. What did you hear?
Good things, good things. I didn't realize how much people wanted ice cream, I guess, because I don't have to have ice cream every night, but apparently some people do. So they were disappointed. I think we were the only stop without ice cream. But a lot of the other ones, a group kind of followed along with us with the
We had ice cream till 6:45.
Yeah.
And so I guess at 6:45, everybody wanted ice cream. So
That's how it works.
8 years from now, we'll
Who knows?
know. Serve ice cream until 8 o'clock.
19 years from now.
I thought it was 8 years away.
Isn't it
Ice cream at our stand at noon.
Well, yeah, but at night was when people were going, hey, where's the ice cream? And I said, isn't it CJ Express?
Sonic.
Sonic?
Yep.
So, but anyway, I heard really good things.
Yeah.
People thought our city was great. They gave everything
couldn't believe the
A+, so
traffic.
thank you for your work. Make sure you communicate to Brenda for us. All right, standing committees. Jeff Sandstrom, he has a street that he wants blocked off.
Move to approve the street closing.
Second.
And I assume neighbors are notified and are okay with this. Yes, Debbie?
I didn't ask him.
Rick?
Jeff usually does a pretty good job letting people know.
Okay, as long as there's no...
I'll make sure.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, again, he didn't say what it's for. It's from 10th Street from Hillcrest to Jenkins on Friday, July 22nd for an auction. And it wants to, Jeff Sandstrom, Realtor and auctioneer, wants to close it off from 8 a.m. to approximately 4 p.m. for those who travel that route.
We have a first and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? 8-0. And let's see, moving on. Anybody got anything for water, wastewater?
A quick question. I noticed on Kent's report that he had to go out and fix a water, or there was a water line break because the plumber broke the line. And I don't know what, it didn't say what he had to do, but I'm just wondering and it was after hours. Do we charge that back, or would we just go fix it? I'm just curious. It was more,
We go fix it and charge it back. Plumber broke it.
I don't remember that report. Was it just this week?
it was on the one that was.
He told me where it was, I don't remember.
It was more of a general question because I'm sure it's probably not the first time it's happened, and I just wondered if we charge that back or.
So tell me again what happened because I didn't read it.
The report just said after hours had to go, and I think it says in the report what the address was, but they had to go but it didn't say whether they had to fix something or he just had to inspect the work. It didn't really. It just said it was an after-hours call for a broken line because it was the plumber's fault. That's all it really said. It was just.
What is the procedure protocol there? Do we bill it back for after-hours call?
He might have just had to turn the water on and off for the plumber to fix
Oh, maybe that's all it was.
It probably wasn't on our line. It could have been on the.
He told me where it was, I don't even remember.
Okay, that might have all it was.
Maybe that. Well, those types of things we do need to have a policy for so that we know.
I can bring it back up again. I was just.
All right. Anything else? Parks and Rec. I did have. Well, I should have asked about that black squirrel.
Mayor, I understand that the swimming pool did not open until 2 o'clock this past Saturday because there was a swim team and there were some irate people.
So the pool opened when?
Not until 2 o'clock rather than 1 o'clock.
It was posted that there was a swim meet though prior to it.
It was posted where?
Inside the bathhouse. That there was going to be a swim meet there on Saturday.
But that would be irritating if you don't normally go there every day.
They don't have a swim tournament, or they don't have a swim meet every weekend.
Do they just have one a year?
Sometimes two.
Sometimes two.
We had this discussion last year, and because people, we're getting some pretty good money, I mean, for families to come swim, and...
Well, if they got a swim meet there, they got a swim meet. You can't swim when they have a swim meet.
The thing that Maria said last year, because they had closed the pool off, they had closed the concession stand, we had over 300 people down there in the park, and a grand opportunity to sell a lot in our concession stand, and the concession stand was closed. They had to go to Taco Bell and all of that.
No.
Okay?
We got concessions there last year.
No concessions. I was there.
Last year, no.
I walked to the concession stand. I even asked Maria why, and she said I didn't have the people to manage.
The parents brought in the food for. I mean, I
don't think they did last year.
Yeah, they did.
Well, anyway, let's think about this year. Let's go on with this year.
The pool was. She said last year that the pool would not be closed during regular business hours any time for a swim meet. Because my concern was that people pay enough for.
Can you not close the pool for a swim meet?
You have it in the morning.
They do never over that. They do have it in the morning.
Yeah.
What time
They're done by 11 o'clock.
But when I went down there last year, it was 5 o'clock, and they were and the pool was closed.
I'm sorry, what time did it start?
8, 7, 8.
Well, how do you have it in the morning? That's how you have it in the morning.
So why
Started
was
at
the
8.
pool not open to the public until 2?
Because lifeguards, that's when they take, when they're working for the pool, they take the break, they take their lunch break, okay? Then they come back and they tear down the pool, right? They take off.
Yeah, they got to roll the lane guards and all that stuff up in there.
The swim team doesn't do that?
Huh?
The swim team doesn't do that?
The swim team does it, but it all takes time after the meet's over and people start leaving and.
Okay, well, Deb just said that Maria's going to be here next week. So do you want to discuss? Be prepared to discuss it next week? Is that all right? I mean, next meeting, I'm sorry. Are you guys okay with that?
Yep.
We'll bring it back, so will you make sure we want to discuss it?
Yes.
Okay. Do you want to discuss concessions too? When Maria's here? Are you okay?
Oh, well, I'm going to talk to the committee that's over the park, which would put them over the pool. Yeah, I'd like to talk to them about that.
Okay, just give her a heads up. All right. Anything else? Cemetery and airport? Police and fire?
Oh, Mayor, I had a question about the airport.
Yeah?
I understand we only received $500 judgment against Rower.
Yeah.
And why was that?
Well, they said, well, didn't...
Because the NOTAM had not been properly issued on time.
The what?
The NOTAM, Notice to Airmen, that the windsock was missing.
Well, what would that have to do with?
They broke this one, of course.
With him forgetting to put his landing
Well,
gear.
His landing gear.
I don't think it has to do anything with it, but that was the judge's decision.
It didn't matter which way he landed, his landing gear collapsed. The sock had nothing to do with it, no matter which way he was going to land.
No, it didn't.
He was going to damage the air.
But that was the discretion of the judge.
But at least we can know that the moral victory is ours because the judge realized that
It wasn't totally our fault.
if you do something, it's your own fault, somewhat.
Yeah. So, anyway, I think that it's 500 was better than 0, so. Did we receive it?
And they dismissed his countersuit?
Yeah.
And so, what recourse do we have to get it?
I don't know.
Anything?
Yeah, we do. Writ of restitution, if he doesn't pay it. Here in Kansas, they call it writ of collection.
She can hold him in contempt for not obeying the court order.
So how many days does he have to decide?
You'd have to ask the court how many days he has to produce it.
Is he still using the airport?
Oh, yeah.
Can we deny him use of our airport?
No.
Even though he owes us money for damage he caused
It's
to
a
our
public
airport?
airport.
It's a public use airport. He's a licensed pilot.
But we can do contempt of court if he doesn't pay within a certain time.
You could call up to the court and find out how much time
It's still a free country.
they give him.
Okay, but if some kid goes down and vandalizes the bathroom at the park, we can't say, don't come in the park. We're like, oh no, you can keep coming while walking around the park with your spray paint.
You can't ban him from a public place like that.
You make it uncomfortable for them?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we've caught vandals before. We make them come back and clean it up. But they still have a right to come back, fortunately. How's the business? Just on a lighter note, I used to coach swim team for a few years, wife and I both did. And there were times where we'd start early in the morning, and I can tell you the more preparation goes into one of those meets than you can even imagine. And it starts days in advance. And we ran long more than once. A lot of times we were out early. Depends on how many teams show up, how many swimmers show up, and if everything goes correctly. It doesn't always go correctly. And I ended up at a council meeting one night because of it, in executive session, as a matter of fact, because the manager went off on me like you wouldn't believe. And she quit 2 days later. But things happen like that on a venue like that. And people love our pool, and they come to those meets because they want to swim in this pool now.
People were impressed biking across Kansas.
Oh boy, were they. Well, I heard a lot about the pool and the town and the corridor and everything that's like across Kansas.
And it was packed during the barbecue too.
Oh yeah, it was.
So.
Pretty good asset we have there. The papers we'll start with the first item. The papers I just gave you, inline construction broke the bids down for me because the first bid that I had in the packet, they had it all together, adjusting gutters, supplemental roof in the back above the rear door, and fixing the foundation drainage. Another company just does foundations alone, so they submitted that bid. Well, then I asked Inline to break it out so you could have apples to apples on fixing a foundation instead of having a bid that's got a whole bunch of work in it. Other locals, Hoyer Construction and JD Construction, turned us down. They don't fix basements, so we looked there first. And the only one local we could find, Inline, bid on it. That's why we went to Burnham. Burnham's up here out of Emporia. He's up here every week working on stuff. I know he did some stuff for some family of mine and other people here in town. I know up here just on Carolina Street he did some work as well. The problem we're having over there is twice we have replaced the entire roof now on the police department, and we're getting huge rain into our building for the first time into my office even. We gotten some little rain into roofs over the years, and Dale had dug down, it looks like there's a crack in the foundation. But now when we redid the east side of the roof in the fall, we didn't have any rains. Now it looked like it got built up with the new roof. So Bloomer, same thing, Inline Construction came in and they actually raised our gutters 2 full inches still to try to catch the rain better, because we went one night, we watched it, a lot of the rain was overshooting the gutter. I mean, we had a nice little waterfall falling right in front of my windows in my office. And where there's rock there, the rock's about that thick. So what it was doing, and it's held in by a metal barrier, the water was going straight down in the rock, straight in the foundation that's cracked. And then literally, I was walking in water that deep in my office one night. And so we had 3 times we've had to have Rainbow come in and dry it out, because by all means we don't want any mold starting in that building. So it's dried, and now we just want to make sure we want to get the foundation fixed. Inline, they're talking about putting in, remove the dirt, putting in some membrane, and then drainage tile along the foundation that drains to the sidewalk to the east. And Burnham's kind of the same thing. It's just a different material he uses, but he wants, and if you go by our building, there's metal posts you'll see underneath the awnings. Those actually are holding the structure up. Well, there's concrete underneath those. He is proposing actually boring through each one of those as well with the drainage tile instead of going around them to get a better flow and take it out to the sidewalk or alley, just like Inline was talking about as well. And then Inline is talking about to keep the water coming in the back door, so it rains really hard. I know Dave's been on the mop many a times trying to get the water pumped up in our bathrooms. It comes through that back door. The drain isn't big enough. I don't know if it's because of all the water that comes on that new slick roof, but it's just overflowing the gutters, and it's just dumping right into that little hole that's in our back door. We sandbagged it the last big rain finally, and it finally held most of the water out for us. But what they're saying is let's put a small 6x12 pitched roof from the side of the building over the top of it, so it'll channel the waterway into the parking lot and not into that area right by the door. That's what Inline's second bid is.
I noticed the Burnham bid says a 10-year warranty on the waterproofing. Is there any warranty on the Inline bid?
How come they put the new roof on and it's worse now than it ever was?
What it looked like was when they put the new roof on, it was higher than the gutters, and we didn't know that until the spring rains came, and it overwent. There was so much force. If you look at how much square area is up there on them roofs, there's so much coming down, it just overshot the gutters right into the foundation. We took a picture of it one night. It was a pretty little waterfall right there in front of mine. That's why you'll see the...
Surely when they put the new roof on, they figured the gutters are going to be different then.
Yeah, you'd have thought, wouldn't you? But no, they came Inline actually raised them 2 full inches. He says if we have to raise any further, they'd have to cut out the back side of the gutter to keep raising. But right now, they did come up a full 2 inches. When you'd have thought when they did the roof that they'd have tested at least. But we found one of the end sheets on the roof is actually, the gutter's 6 inches. They're sticking 4 inches over the top of the gutter. And I'm not sure why. I mean, they're a professional company out of Concordia, and they've always done a good job. So I'm not sure what's going on with that. So we have no leaks inside. It's just channeling the water away from the
building.
Yeah, the roof's fine. It's just bringing a lot of water down really quick.
So besides the warranty, I noticed that Burnham one also included the insulation, the foam insulation.
What the foam insulation is that type of membrane.
Oh, so they're one of the same.
One to me looks like, they showed me, it looks like a fabric membrane, which would be Inline, and the other one is a foam type membrane that they use.
Spray on.
All he told me was foam blend. I'm not sure how he installs it. That's why I carry a gun, not I don't fix foundations.
And Burnham basement and foundation repair, is that their main business?
That's all they do. Yeah.
Well, since the warranty's the same, you still probably need to clarify the warranty if we want to go with the Inline, because
I don't see it.
Yeah, they don't see it. You'd have it.
I don't see it.
If we wanted to go that route, we'd have to see what it is and have it added.
No, I actually went to talk to him this morning, and because he thought he sent this to me, or the other guy thought he did, but he went to Florida. He's in Florida right now.
Which one?
And Jeff is in Florida, and I'm not sure when he's coming back. But I talked to his dad, and his dad's the one that actually got these for me today. So.
I'm looking at these, and the scope isn't the same.
The what?
The scope of work isn't the same.
Isn't the same?
It isn't the same. Like the Burnham Item 3, may have to core drill holes along the footing to allow any water to flow down and out. That's not even addressed on the inline. And spread a landscape, item 11, spread landscape cloth over the drain tile and gravity drain. That's not indicated. I mean, they have different ways of fixing things, so it's kind of not apples to apples on the bid.
Well, I think it's apple to apples. I think it's on them to not describe it back to us. You know what I mean? It's not. It's not us. I know nothing about foundations, but if somebody spells it out better than the other person, that's not really on us. That's on them, I think.
Well, but then it's up to us to decide if that extra step this person took, it costs less, and it looks like they're doing more. Like they even say that they're going to install a rubber flap down approximately 18 inches over the foam, and that spray foam the exterior of the front wall. It'll help insulate the wall and also help waterproof the front wall. And then they're going to take that down to where the drain goes down to where the sidewalk V's there at the front of the building.
Yeah, what he did, I was there when he actually showed up. I wasn't there when Jeff was there. And what he did, what he's talking about there, he put a gauge inside on the floor in my office, and then went clear out to the sidewalk and dropped another gauge, and it tells me exactly the depths that they're at. That way, he goes, you have to go another 6 inches because of the concrete floor of the office and the foundation, and he puts that in there to see if there's actually enough drop, and there is. There's only 4 inches drop difference. It looks huge outside, but there's really not that much drop. There's only 4 inches drop.
Well, I'd like to see, and they don't even say that it's, that it would be a fix to frame a 6 by 12 pitched roof over the outdoor steps on the northwest side of the building. They don't even address that. I would like to be able to give a bid to a local person, but it seems like that they're doing more to ensure that the fix is permanent than what I see over here. It looks like they're doing more, and so I don't know if we need to.
Well, we can do the Burnham bid for the foundation work and then go ahead and do the roof with inline. We can split those two up.
Is one contingent on the other?
No, they're not. That's why I asked him to split them, and he said he'd definitely split them. I looked at him with, you're talking about the roof out back. If you look at it 6 feet, we'll get it out past the hole to where they will go out into the parking lot. And that's where a lot of the back problem is. And I think he's correct on that. I think a simple 6 by 12, bring out a simple, lean-to style. And I think it'll work perfect for it.
Would you entertain a motion?
One thing and I was asking her about how we're going to pay for this fix. I'm certain the water drying.
Let's take it out of the seizure fund.
Can't do that. I knew as soon as you heard seizure fund the other day, okay, how am I going to get my hands in the seizure fund?
We're going to get my hands on that seizure fund.
So it's not, there's no money left in your capital outlay because you bought the truck, right?
There's some money in it. We got to pay for the installation yet, which is lower $5,000, I think. But
you didn't buy the tasers, did you?
No, not yet.
You plan to do that in 2016?
I'd wait till 17 if we can still put it in the budget for 17. The tasers.
Otherwise, we'd have to take it out of the sales tax fund. So what do you guys? We have to fix them. We have to fix them. This is not a, should we put it off?
We're almost $4,000 in cleaning already.
We need to proceed with this.
And then,
this is not this is a need rather than a want.
It's way needed,
So
I move that we accept Burnham bid at $6,400 and take it out of sales tax.
We haven't used sales tax very much, so we're okay. We don't need to. Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 8-0. What do you guys want to do about this this roof? Is this a need as well?
Oh yeah, because if we don't, it's going to keep flooding to the backside of the building.
Okay, just want to hear you say that.
Which is in the budget for the tasers.
What's that?
If we wanted to shift that.
Do you want to use, we can use it?
If we can still shove the tasers to 17, I don't mind using the taser money for the roof.
You want to use police use the general
We just
fund?
got to remember to get that in there.
That's right, you put them back. Okay,
So
does anybody want to
I
make a
move
motion?
to approve the inline quote for $4,000 to come out of, you said the general fund?
Yeah, police
But
department, capital outlay.
capital outlay, and then to the TASER current budget to move those to 2017.
That
I
was fun.
second it.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 8-0. All right.
Second thing we had in line item was when we purchased AR-15 rifles back in 2012, for financial reasons, we didn't buy any for the part-time guys, and the reason each person has their own is their precision weapon that is tuned to that. We'd like to buy 2 more out of the drug seizure fund, and they both know how to shoot ARs. They're both ex-military, and I'd have no worries at all about them qualifying with them and utilizing them like they're supposed to. And then we'll have the optics that go with them. They're like $400 a piece, but that's a separate purchase on that.
Do you have one now because you're down one officer?
We have one
That's not
now
allocated?
sitting in the locker, but when we replace that person, that'll be assigned to that person.
Will you think your part-time officers will need it? Is it a need?
Yeah, oh yeah, there's no doubt. At least that was one of the reasons we waited until we had enough funds that we would purchase it out of the drug funds and not out of the general fund. The original ones came out of the general fund. They were budgeted for, if I remember right, because we couldn't have that much in our fund back then. That's why we'll take these are a justifiable thing out of the drug funds.
Do your part-time officers, how much do you use them per month?
They work every other weekend. I have 2 of them, and they alternate weekends, unless we have like a search warrant or a special event that we can bring them in for that. There's times I'd much rather use them. They're cheaper than calling it a full-time guy.
You don't have this much money in your seizure fund. Are you waiting to buy these after?
I'm buying them now.
The purple wave
We have over
money's just went in
$10,000 in our seizure funds.
Well, what you mean?
Is that from selling that car?
No, we got $5,000 from the car.
Yeah, I was going to say, is that, well, the balance should be right in your
I didn't see
financial
you had any money. I didn't see you had any money in seizure. At the workshop?
No, we just,
Because I asked
when did we get the money, Cindy?
It was
End of May, so it wouldn't have been in it.
It wouldn't have been in the paperwork, yeah.
End of May total.
Yeah.
It says that balance as of the end of May, $11,298 on page 30.
That's true. We also had some other cash that we received in also on other seizures that we actually have to pay another $15,000 or $2,000 out of that goes to other agencies that were in on the drug bus as well, but we have more than enough for the purchases.
On the Wyndham bid, we need to add another $24 on there?
That's for the slings. If you look at Good Old Boys over here, I let them bid the rifles as well, and their price includes a sling, and he told me that over the phone, so I had to check with these guys, what would it be for us to buy slings, just to make sure the bids are the same. That's why I said we need to add $25 to them
So
for that.
There's really only $188 difference in the 2 bids.
Yeah, probably. You talking between which
The
company?
Good Old Boys and Wyndham.
Is that what it is? I don't have a calculator with me.
This is 68.
1582. It's 200, yeah, minus the 50. Probably around that. Yeah, Wyndham is factory direct, and then Good Old Boys just local. And then the other bid came from JSC Law Enforcement. It's actually called Simmons out of
they're
Kansas
almost
City.
even. Because once you take $50 off, you separate $50.
It's 100 and something
They're almost,
difference.
yeah, they're almost, with the 50, they're almost even.
Are you going to buy extra magazines for this? For these?
We'll see how many magazines we have. I issue 3
Are they
of these.
interchangeable?
Oh yeah, getting our 15 magazine from 1970 to current. Fit in 'em. You bet. All the AR-15s are that way.
But they wouldn't fit an AK-47?
No, we don't have AK-47.
Do you know that those are illegal? Do you know that's a Russian rifle?
Yes, I have one.
I learned that at
They're a
work.
total different magazine, total different round. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, which one do you guys want?
I'd make a motion to do the JSC since it's Kansas. Am I saying that?
No, yeah, they're out of Kansas City.
Unless you have a preference.
Either way, it doesn't matter to me. They're all still about 10 days out, so it doesn't matter.
So
we bought stuff from all three people, so it doesn't matter.
Oh, wait a minute. What was the?
So the one is $13.94, right? Because we had $24 to it.
Yeah.
So $13.94.
For $100 and some, even if you wanted to go local, that doesn't bother me either.
And it's $14.39, so it's really only $50
But the
more.
$14.39 doesn't come with a,
No, you have to add 25 to that one also.
Oh, you have to add
50.
25. I'm sorry, I misunderstood.
So
Okay, I got you. So you're still back to
it doesn't say that-
$14.89.
It doesn't come with that 130 round magazine either.
130 round?
It's 130 round.
Oh, it's a 130 round?
130 round magazine.
That was an awful lot of
That's a
ammunition.
big mag. No, just a 30 round mag. They all, no matter where we order it from, they'll all come in the same box from the same factory of Wyndham, and they all come with the same accessories.
They won't come with that?
They will all come with the same thing. They all come in the same box.
Except this one comes with a $25.
Yeah, Good Old Boys added that in their quote. The other two didn't. We're just adding that in there for them to make it the same type of bid.
Okay.
So it doesn't matter to us where you order them from.
Where do you want to buy them from?
Well, I like Good Old Boys since they're local.
Well, then make the motion.
But you
I think Brad's going to make a motion.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was. I'll withdraw the motion.
I didn't know he completed a motion. I thought he was still talking.
Oh, yeah, sorry, but I'll.
You'll withdraw?
I'll withdraw that.
Well, then I move, here, I'm gonna surprise you. I move we go with the low bid of $13.70.
Plus the 24 for the slings?
Correct, plus the slings. To come out of the seizure fund.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a first and a second. We'll go ahead and vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Ooh.
Vision of the House.
Roll call, here we go.
We got to pay shipping and handling on that, right?
I think that is done in the quote.
That's in the quote?
I believe it is. Let me look to be sure. Yeah, this is a department drop ship price.
Yes.
Eichmann?
Yes.
Basinger?
Yes.
Boss?
No.
Ekis?
Yes.
Fry?
Yes.
Gross? No. Schroller?
No.
Throm?
Yes.
Is it a 5-3?
5-3.
5-3, okay, we go with the low bid from Wyndham Weaponry for $13.94.
Like part-time officers be able to use them?
What's that?
Part-time officers will be able to use them?
They'll be assigned to them. They'll have to sign for them just like everybody signs for a weapon and trained and certified with them. You bet. And if we need accessories, I'll just go buy it from Good Old Boys over here. One other thing I wanted to talk to you guys about, I spoke to the mayor. She sent me an email this morning. The grass clipping things we've been talking about, we got some issues with the ordinances we're looking at using. And after speaking I spoke to Libby, our prosecutor for court, and who all was in the room today? You was in there on the phone, and the mayor and Dave and Debbie. We'd like to have a separate ordinance, or what do you call that, to put in strictly for yard waste being placed in. Because if we don't do that, we're going to have leaves in the fall. Let's just do yard waste disposal into a public street, and that would make it so then you guys can set your fine for it as well.
What if they do put their leaves in the, I'll still allow them.
That's what we're talking about covering.
So did you, is Libby going to talk to Craig about drafting the ordinance?
No, she told me to. She goes,
Okay.
because she goes, that's what he does, because he's going to do it for you guys.
Okay.
So we can do that, but we're going to need, what do you guys want for a fine? And the other thing is, if we find somebody doing it, you guys want the ticket to the landowner or to the person that actually did it and blew it in the street?
What did Libby say about that?
Libby says it doesn't matter. It's up to you guys.
As long as we specify.
I say take it to the landowner because ultimately they're the ones who, if nobody pays, we're going to have to.
See, I personally like that better because I don't want to go give some 10-year-old kid that's making $10 on a lawn a $100 ticket for going something on the street.
Yeah.
That's bad.
He's the one that hired the,
And that kid probably doesn't know any better.
Well, no, it's the landowner hired him.
Yeah.
So to me, it's their responsibility.
Permanent here.
If that's what you guys want.
The landowner, or do we have to tell you the fee amount now?
Yeah. If you would, then I can tell him, then you could hopefully have it ready for your next meeting.
So when we were talking in there, we decided if you make it less than 100, it's not worth our time. So do you want to make it $100?
Should it be graduated or just every time?
You mean first time, second time?
Yeah, like a first time event?
Yeah, I guess I do a landowner. What about rental properties?
Landowner. He should put the rules out to the people who rent his property. He's the one that's here, he's the one.
That's totally up to you guys.
Otherwise, I think you get in kind of a complex situation because some of these landlords.
Well, if they bail, they're not going to pay the rent, they're not going to pay their fine.
Yeah, it's who does it's kind of complicated.
True. Yeah, I think you stay with landowner. Yeah. And so back to.
What do you think about? I mean, would it be easier to go with a fine this much every time or a graduated fine?
You already have a habitual fine in your ordinance. I think it's $100. If you don't, it's an additional $100. I mean, I used it once for a stereo. A kid went 3 times, he came in for loud stereo. 4th time in, she hit him for $1,000.
Did it work?
Oh yeah, we never had another problem with him again.
The problem with the graduate is then you have to start it over again. Yeah. It becomes okay, well, you got the warning, and we've done this on, well, you brought it up with certain retailer.
I want to bring it up again tonight.
Yeah.
Just wait.
And so I think if it's just a clear cut.
But you know, if you do a $100 fine, I don't know how many people want to pay a $100 fine for the yard waste.
No. Yeah, I think they'll get the point across.
Yeah.
It's worth your.
Don't get me wrong, just because I see it, we're not going to run right and we're going to take it, we're going to say, hey, clean that up by the end of the day.
Yeah.
You know, we use common sense on it.
That's working too.
Oh, I think so.
The ones that I've noticed and have brought to your attention.
It's the repeat offenders that kind of get them
They
by
haven't-
crawl.
This year, they haven't done it at all. I mean, if I drove around this morning from 5:30 till 6:30, and it looks real nice. And I did not see one lawn that had.
But you can see when people even mow and they bag even, a little bit will get out there or you're weed eating. But you know, there's your definite ones that are blowing at 8 feet into the street.
Yeah, it's a carpet. It's
So
just-
we said that the police officers would use their discretion.
Discretion, I agree with that.
But we just need to know you want the landowner.
Yes.
And what's your fine?
$100.
$100. We'll keep that at $10.
Yeah. Anything else?
Nope, I'll give that to him and hopefully he'll have something here for you next meeting.
I got a question for you. Is it illegal to park left wheel to curb? Somebody told me there's a state statute. There is.
There's actually a statute for left wheel to curb. If somebody pulls over to talk to somebody quick, don't get me wrong, I've had councilmen and mayors pull over left side of the curb, talk to me in my yard. Now, if somebody parks there and walks off and leaves something, yeah, it's illegal. Oh yeah, people do it. It's like J-turns downtown. J-turns are legal. We don't have an ordinance against J-turns. I've had people, I've done it. You know, you go down, you turn, park on the other side. It is 100% legal. We do not have an ordinance against J-turns. Go to Westmoreland, they'll get a ticket. It just depends.
So the thing is, I should probably, going back to when I first read the handbook, you know, but since we have so many uncontrolled intersections, is it the first person in the intersection has a right of way? Is that the way it works?
Controlling person.
Okay.
Yeah. Usually it's person to the right if you both are at the same time. But if I'm halfway through an intersection and a guy smacks into me, I would say it's going to be his fault. We're going to leave it. 9 times out of 10, we leave it to the insurance companies anyway. You know, let them argue it out.
Thank you.
All right.
Anything else?
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you.
Admin and finance?
I have 2 things.
Okay.
Okay. One of them, and this actually, since we were just comparing bids, and it did remind me actually when I asked this question why good thing I withdraw my motion. But there was a citizen, or somebody in the community and I heard this third party that suggested that the city council if faced with two bids, one from an out-of-town and one from an in-town, would offer the in-town supplier a second opportunity to lower their bid if they were higher. And that's what I heard third party, and I just want to make sure that I never thought that would be our policy, but.
That's not ethical.
No.
Yeah.
I was going to say, it's not. Then it becomes a
We
big
have,
one.
we allow 5%.
Okay, and that's, but I kind of wanted to get it on the record because when somebody says something like that, I think it's probably, and I couldn't fathom that, but.
Yeah,
anyway,
it just
so
doesn't seem quite right to be able to have them take a second bid and not let the other person take a second bid.
Right, okay.
Yeah, the longer on weeds, start seeing people from out of town just not bothering.
Oh, yeah, no, that's absolutely correct. Okay, so I really wanted to more like get on the record with that. And then I wanted to give an update. One of the bills in the ordinance was for the computers. And we'd asked about the backups, so they should come up. Yes. So I talked to Scott, and for whatever reason, and Rick may be able to add something to this, but when they set up the original backups, for some reason Dave's and Rick's computers were just never added to the backup. So what they've done now is we actually have two daily backups. There's an offline and an on. So the hard drives that they purchased were to add to the server so they can do an in-house backup, and then we're also doing an off-site backup. So there's actually
everybody's?
Of everybody's. So those were added, so everybody's getting backed up, and there's actually 2 daily backups now. So and I'm sorry, Scott said the offline backup is done through Cindy. It's through
NC Plus.
What's that?
The NC Plus does it into a cloud.
Yeah.
And
So
we pay for it monthly.
yeah. So anyway, that was.
So once they get it all corrected, you'll see in this next, there's going to be a huge bill for this whole thing because some of the backup and the run down there and back and forth.
Well, part of
there was some of it in there.
Yeah, the labor. It said there was a labor in that.
Well, there's about $1,200 more on it.
Oh, is there? Okay. So we
That
had to buy
has nothing to do with the backup, but
to get things caught up and organized and set up and so, but part of that was the new larger hard drives for the servers so they could do the internal backup.
To do the backups, okay.
Yeah.
Well,
So
I
anyway.
think that's something we need to have done. So.
Yep. So.
Mayor?
Yes.
I wanted to add something about the audit because reading the newspaper after our last meeting, I thought it sounded as though, we had problems. Carol McCullough stated that it was a clean, unqualified opinion. And then Mr. Keycaper spoke tonight about having checks and balances for the municipal court, so we've got that addressed. And the library, it was suggested to have training on the fund accounting, and Mason Accounting, who does the accounting for the library, is planning to take classes, municipal classes.
So we are good to go for 2016. All right, well, thanks for clarifying all that. Anything else? Okay, we have a wage determination on page 69.
Move to approve wage determination for Samantha Ralph at $13.49 per hour.
Second.
Can I get a discussion?
Sure.
Who is Samantha Ralph? Can we just get like a primer?
She works over with Mary's
Porch swing.
Porch swing. She's been here for 8 years.
Sammy, as we know her.
Debbie interviewed her. You wanted to say just a little bit about it?
Website experience and like they discussed, she's worked at the porch swing opening and doing deposits and taking care of all that, so good experience. And
she has computer experience.
Looking forward to working with her.
Since I said she would be a smiley face at the front desk.
Yes.
It's hard to replace Jenny, but...
When is she to begin, Debbie? Tomorrow. She begins tomorrow? So everybody will see a new face when they come in City Hall?
Yes. And maybe some old ones up there for a while. We're all trying to
training
learn.
her, yeah. Training each other, right?
Yeah.
Back up training. Yeah. Okay, we had first and second. Is there any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 8-0. All right, city attorney is not here. I do not know of a need for an executive session. Anyone? Roundtable discussion. I think I covered all my thank yous, but again, just talking about all the people that we've had in town. And we have a lot of volunteers that spend a lot of time to bring a lot of people to our community. And, you know, it's been a great couple of weeks for our city, and I think we've showed off our city to a lot of people recently. So all good feedback from what I received. And this is Rick's last meeting. And we wish you the very best. And
thank you.
And you and Annie, you're blessed that you're in good health and can go and enjoy life away from the general ledger. So we wish you the very best.
Just no more cookies unless you want to pay for them.
Well, Annie will be missed as well. That's right. That's right. Okay, Keith.
Two things. The lot on 9th and Austin, I think it belongs to McConnell, maybe. Yeah. They tore down the house and it's got tall weeds in it now. I mean,
David knows, yeah.
Dave, you on that? Did you hear that?
Could have been sooner if you just stopped by.
Okay. You were just there?
No, I said just bring it in.
Okay. He's bringing it to you now.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else?
yes. Swim meets. I just got this. Swim meets are from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. League meets last longer. Okay? Concessions are open. They had 2 meets last year. Concessions was closed for one of them because of lack of help.
Okay.
Okay?
So
But it was
You're
open
both
for
half
one
right.
of them.
So you're both right. So this next meet that's coming up, is it a league meet or will it be a shorter meet?
It's a shorter one. It'll be from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m.
The one that's still to come. And so when it's 9 to 1, will the pool not open until 2?
Right.
And so if you guys have a problem with that, we'll talk about Marie. When is the meet supposed to be?
I don't know. I haven't seen the schedule.
Will it be before our next meeting?
I don't think so.
I think it's later in the year.
Okay, so then Maria's going to be here next meeting. So if you guys have a problem with it, we'll discuss it then, okay? Thank you, Keith. Anything else? Bill?
Yeah, 20th of May. There's some people that live down over the hill, so when we get large, even medium-sized rains, the water doesn't go into the catch basin, it goes over the catch basin down in their yards.
On Frank Marshall Drive?
Yep. And but some of them get kind of upset about it. And I think they've got it right. I don't know what the answer is, but
When the catch basins are clean and the water's flowing, is there a problem?
it doesn't make any difference, Vicki. It comes down the hill by the doctor's office, and it coming the hill and it meets at that catch basin, and it can't go in it.
I think they think it probably got worse after the new hospital and additional parking.
More concrete.
More concrete, faster runoff.
Well, it did going through the park too, you know, the one that goes off to the west after the new Lando building went up. It displaced, the cement displaced what will soak in, and it has to go somewhere. So what do you think the solve is there? What do you think?
I don't know whether you can go along the curb and
Make it a bigger catch
wall.
basin?
Huh?
Make a double catch basin there?
I don't know.
Can you do that?
It's still got to go through the same, once it gets in the catch basin, it's still got to go
But
in the
is
same.
it backing out of there, or isn't it?
It's just going right over the top.
So can we make a higher catch basin?
I think you'd
I'm just
almost have to
guessing.
make another wall higher than the curb, but there you go again, then you're going to have water standing in the road when people drive by. And that becomes a safety hazard.
It's almost like you need to catch some of the water up the hill and get it
You need to
underground.
slow it down up the hill. How you do that, I don't know, without putting speed bumps in or whatever.
The way you do that's put some more catch basins in further uphill, but then you got dig everything
Dig it
up.
all out.
run
Pour
it
all that
somewhere.
concrete.
The pipe's overwhelmed, the pipe's overwhelmed. It will be upstream too.
Well, the pipe's overwhelmed on Walnut Street, and it backs up on my intersection every time you get a heavy
See,
rain
that's
too.
what I'm saying.
Oh, is that what your flooding was from?
Yeah.
That catch basin?
Just right out your foot, shoulder.
Yeah, I mean, it happens all over town. I mean, it just.
One of Kevin's house.
Huh?
One of your house.
Oh, I have, yeah. That's a day.
The restriction is downstream where it goes out.
Yeah, I know.
Down there by Carla's place, down there by, behind the church.
Behind the church.
That's the restriction. You'd have to start there.
And work your way back
And work your way
upstream.
back upstream, because that's only, I think, about a 24-inch, no more than a 36-inch tube.
I think it's only 24.
Yeah, I think it's only about 24 because half of it, well, about 6 inch of it sets up out of the ground.
Right.
In some of those yards. That's the restriction, is that you can't get enough water through those tubes to handle the flow, and so it's backing up all the way. I don't think that's necessarily contributed to going over the curb.
I think the
That's
catch
just because of the
basin-
force that's coming down, so.
Yeah, catch basin's sitting too low in the crown of the street.
Right.
It needs to be redesigned, but I don't know quite to do it.
But you've got, the restriction is in the size of the pipe. That's why it's surcharging when it's right there on the curve on Frank Marshall Drive, because it just can't go any faster downstream.
That ditch needs to be done. Like, has been on the list to do.
The guys,
along Jenkins
that ditch is not the restriction, it's the pipe. And the guys were in there a few years ago cleaning, and it needs to be cleaned again. But that's not the restriction. The restriction is that pipe. It's not big enough to carry the water on the big. But
Big
that
rains.
pipe was only probably designed for maybe a 5-year, maybe a 25-year storm at the most. And when you get these 100-year downpours that come in an hour,
What is
there's
that,
nothing in town that can handle
12
it.
inch or 24?
Well, I think that's 24
I
inches.
think it's
back there.
24. You could see it in the, I forget who owns the property now. It used to be where Edna Swartz lived. You can see where that pipe come across the top of the yard there because it's been
It's a
exposed.
manhole there.
Yeah.
And now Allen's live there, right? Isn't that Allen's? Chris Allen's? Chris Allen's?
Skylar Price.
Skylar Price.
Lives there.
Yes.
Chris Allen owns the lot
South.
east of Price's.
Yeah.
Anything else, Bill?
No, that's
You
it.
just gave us something we can't fix, but okay. Darlene?
I had someone ask me why the city wasn't buying a squirrel. And I explained that Travel and Tourism is purchasing a squirrel, and that committee is part of the city.
Is
the
a city
committee.
It's a city committee.
Yeah, city committee.
And it's using sales tax, or transit guest tax dollars, which is city dollars.
Right.
Yeah.
And then, want to remind everybody, the library, which is part of the city, is having a mixer at 5 o'clock Wednesday. And then...
So you can go see the new remodel library, and
Right.
and in their pocket park is where they're having the mixer.
And then Friday will be the reception for Rick from 3 to 5.
Here, right here. All right. Anything else?
No.
All right, Brad?
Just one quick thing, since Dave's here.
Dave?
I was curious, 1205 Carolina, it just says that we're delivering, we didn't get anything signed, so we're delivering a note. It was kind of going back to our calendar, but 1205 Carolina, what's the, is that, have we delivered that?
Yeah, PD delivered that one. So they go out certified it, and after so long, when they come back, they'll accept it, and they'll keep the
Okay. So the next step is
Is this for a weed notice or what?
No, this is the flea market that's in
Construction
the yard.
material.
I'm cleaning that front yard.
Is that, so the next step then, if they accept that, then is for us to do the same thing we did with Calhoun, to do... Okay.
Should have a hearing, make a
Yeah,
resolution.
is that what, okay.
Yeah.
So we need to put that on the, do we, now that we've got them delivered, do we need to put that on the agenda?
My biggest problem up there too is the fact how utilities do little retaining walls out in the alley. That alley, probably narrowed down about 10 to 12 feet in there. Drive up that alley back there sometime.
Back behind the ambulance. Behind the ambulance building. He's paving the driveway with the bricks.
Landscaped it, the stair step is all the way out the alley.
But he's paving his driveway with the bricks.
Yeah, but he didn't use it to put on a house.
Yeah.
Okay. So he's been served, so you want to bring it up as a hearing next week?
Yeah.
Next meeting?
Because I think if we're going to go up to Calhoun, then
we should go after that?
That's bad.
All right. Anything else? Todd?
Sure.
Of course.
Dave, since you're...
Dave is not going to come to council.
Thanks for coming, Dave. So, do you feel like it's a part-time job notifying Dollar General to mow their stinking grass at this point? Because I notice it seems like they only mow after somebody complains, and they go about 3 or 4 times as long as I do to mow. Is there anything in the world we can do?
They hired some company. They got rid of the local people to do it. They just come around whenever they feel like coming.
Well, that's...
Fine.
Can we fine them? I mean, seriously, if they're a repeat offender, they're right in front of me, so it's really obvious to me that they're repeat offending. That's all fine and good. They want to save money. Well, maybe they shouldn't be trying to save that money because they're going to pay it to us in fines. And the company, I know that they had told me that because they bid it out to some outfit out of who knows where. Yeah, and I'm sure it takes them all of about 2 minutes to mow that. But well, it takes them longer because they have to mow it 3 times each direction. So is there anything?
So we've already sent him a letter? You've sent him the first letter?
No, I haven't. No.
Oh.
What can we do?
You have to start the letter.
They're like everybody else.
Every time you go ready to send the letter, they got to vote. So I just sent them a letter. It goes into, it goes to Wassenberg and we'll go to Dollar General. So.
But once you send them the letter, then you can fine them right away, right?
No.
Or you can mow it and assess
Wait
it.
10 days.
So,
Yes. So you have to start with the letter.
Okay, can we send them a letter? Sure. I'd appreciate it. All right, the other thing, since the police are here.
They're not going to come to a meeting either.
Leash law, loose dogs. We have a leash law, right?
Oh yeah, we collect dogs almost every day.
I've had 2 people unconnectedly today ask me about leash laws up in actually your neighborhood up in North Park. I guess there's people who are like, oh, it's no big deal. I've always let my dog out to go to the bathroom and then it runs around and whatever.
Yeah, that same person talked to me today.
Okay, good. One of them did.
Or she did.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. I don't know. I guess this service more is a reminder to everyone to. You have to keep your dog on a leash, even if you're running, even if you just are letting them out temporarily. If they're off the property.
It can be within verbal command.
Verbal command. What is the definition of verbal command?
Verbal command means you yell at the dog and comes right back to you.
Instantly?
Standing outside there, watching your dog, and then telling it.
It seems a little vague, actually, doesn't it?
That is a verbal. That's a verbal command.
Is that a standard amongst other cities as well? That
I couldn't even tell. We've never researched that.
So it's not really a leash law as much as a verbal command law?
It's both.
Well, my dog's deaf.
If it's deaf, then you're going to it's not on verbal command.
Okay, so if it demonstrates that they aren't under verbal command, how do you verify that?
I'm guessing if somebody's dog is, say, in my yard and it was your dog, it's not verbal command because we're full blocks away.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, I think that's a common sense thing about verbal command. Even if you're a block or 2 away, I think you're out of verbal command because you can't see the dog's heart.
Okay. But in general, I think if people are good neighbors and keep track of their dogs, it's a non-issue, right?
I think so, for the most part. You know, in dogs, we get dogs out all the time. And people, the good neighbors usually call, hey, I'm missing my dog, I'm not looking, call me if you see my dog. We get that all the time. We don't even collect them and say, hey, I've got your dog over here. They'll come pick it up in the truck. That way we don't have to deal with all the paperwork.
Sure.
And I got no problem with that at all. But we do have some repeat offenders that we repeatedly have to collect them and they have to pay their fine instantly. And they do it. Yes, there's leash law.
Okay.
And also dogs are, people should clean up after their dogs.
Right.
I had the same question today.
I see several on the city-owned property across from me who let their dogs do their numbers there and don't clean it up.
And then our guys mow it.
Yeah, and our guys mow it.
So.
Just step in or something.
Oh, and one more thing, I'd thank Rick for his service to the city.
Thank you.
And
You're welcome.
don't go bolting town or anything in case we have some questions down the line.
Bolting. All right, Vicki?
I just wanted to say that reception for Rick on Friday, I think we'll kind of have a little formal thing at 3:30 if people want to show up for that, and to say their goodbyes and everything. And thank you, Rick, for your service to Marysville.
You're welcome. Thank you.
And I wanted to ask Chief about dogs too. If you know that there are 5 dogs, we have an ordinance of 3 pets per household.
3 dogs or 5 combined?
5 combined dogs.
No.
What?
3 dogs. You can have some cats too.
You can have 3 dogs.
You have 3 dogs and 2 cats.
They have 5 dogs. I think they have 2 cats too.
What's that?
I think they have 2 cats too, but they've got 5 dogs.
Cats are by themselves, it's just so hard to deal with. You never know if they're real, or if they're theirs, or if they're theirs, or who they are. But dogs, definitely.
Well, the complaint wasn't on the cats, it was on the dogs. And they're kind of indoor dogs, but they let them out like night and they're there. So my question is, don't we have a limit? And how do you enforce it?
People will call in. We have to try to verify if they have a limit. I can't just walk into somebody's house and verify it. Once we verify it, then we give them, or the court will have to give them so much time to get rid of a dog or 2 dogs, whatever, down to the limit.
Okay, then what about, we have a record here of dogs that are registered in the city. What about dogs that aren't registered? If someone tells you that there's barking dogs and that they're not registered, then do you go to the home or do you come to the city and check to see if there's a record of them?
The city hall actually provides us with a list, and then if we don't see it on there, we call city hall to see if this has been updated or not.
Okay.
And if it's not, then we go to the home.
Okay, that's my questions to you. And then I just want to thank everyone for the beauty of the city with the lawns being mowed. It just looked really wonderful today, and thanks for the people who have taken heed and they're not mowing their grass out into the street anymore. I appreciate that very much. And also in Ward 3, people are really removing the old vehicles. I mean, new houses have gone up in Ward 3. Some old trailer houses have been removed. So I think people are doing their spring cleaning now, and I just want to thank everybody for beautifying the city. That's all I have. Thank you.
Denny?
When's the dust control going to start?
When they give us a call and schedule it. I've told them we need several days' notice because we've got to get hold of Bob so to make sure that
it's graded.
Homes are ready.
I had one guy ask me when they was going to do it, so that's what I was.
It's when they call.
It got hot, right? That's dusty. Yeah. Anything else? Kevin?
Curb and gutter for our, I guess, Center Street project for 2017. Are we going to bid that as part of the project? Are we going to try to have it done ahead of the project?
It's whatever you guys are going to do.
2008, I'm sorry, curb and gutter what? For Clink?
Yeah, for a Clink project, how are we going to do that?
See, I mean,
there's a couple blocks on 36 that we need to look at repairing, and then the one stretch along 10th Street if it's a lumped together project.
You could do it as part of the Clink project, but it was other than maybe some right at the intersections on the turns. It's not eligible cost share for KDOT, but you could do it as part of the Clink project.
Yeah, we have that.
Just incorporate it into there.
We have that budgeted number for debt that we're going to issue, so we can
bill it.
And that number wasn't set in stone, so we can.
Okay, like I said, I was just curious because I know we'd want to have the curb and gutter done.
I think we're waiting.
Way ahead of.
Can we apply for the 77, Clink 77?
They haven't sent notice that it's open yet.
Oh, okay.
I think this deal would, I wouldn't expect them to make a decision until the state comes back from their
Budget meeting.
session.
Budget meeting, yeah.
So,
Way off.
remember that though at the next budget meeting about curb and gutter.
Like I
just to
said,
make
I'm
sure.
just curious, because noticed today again when I drove down the highway that there's a lot of it that's really
I would incorporate it into the clank if it's possible to do
broken up
that.
and stuff. And then I want to also like to thank Rick for his duties here at the city.
You're welcome, thank you.
Anything else?
That's all I have.
I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Hey, Mayor, we have our new vehicle in front of the
The new Explorer is outside.
We should test drive it.
Yeah, I'll give you drive. You can't pedal it.